Hello, hello. Welcome to anybody that's coming in. I'm just checking to make sure what I've got on the screen. Let's see. Sometimes it's not certain that I am streaming, but I should be streaming right now. Give me one moment. I'm just double checking. It does look like we're streaming live. So good. So good morning to those who are just coming in. I know this isn't one of our big cases. In fact, I'm not even sure how to classify it. It's not one of our direct cases. However, our channel has had the pleasure of having attorney John Ray on our show before, talking about the Long Island Circular case. And I went to New York and visited John Ray and his office at the Miller Place home/office of John Ray. And that's where he's supposed to be giving a press release announcement, streamed live here in about a half hour. But even though his assistant let me know about the appearance this morning, said she was going to send me a link this morning, I haven't received the link yet. And I've been looking all over trying to find a link to it. If anybody is good at sleuthing, maybe you can find that. I can also put on the screen. Give me a second here. I can put on a screen a way that you guys can help try to find it. Give me a second. I got so many screens open. Oh my God. All right, let's go put this on stage here real quick. So this is attorney John Ray's website, John Ray and Associates, also known as Killer Bees, if you look up in the top corner. And last I saw, we'll go to in the media. That's just hasn't changed. That's what I was looking for, a link to the announcement this morning. I haven't found anything. If anybody can find it, great. I'm still waiting for a response from his assistant. I've got an email and text exchange with her. I'll cover some stuff this morning real quick to tell you what's on tap and why it's interesting to us. One, again, it's regarding Jeffrey Epstein. I'll just get into it, I guess, since we got a small crowd. It may not actually get any bigger than this. Who knows? I'm not used to just going live on a stream without planning it out. But this was a late night discovery that I had, and so I want to put it up on screen. So give me a second to remove this, and I will put this. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so this is a copy of the email I received yesterday from John Ray's assistant, and she sent it to me personalized. I have met John Ray in person in his office, so I'm hopeful that they will respond to my messages this morning. I've also invited John Ray to join us live on my YouTube stream here when he's done with his public announcement. It is regarding this. I'm going to read it verbatim on screen. The only person who appears several times in the Epstein Files because he reported on Epstein's alleged sex trafficking and futilely called for a U.S. Justice Department investigation, speaks out, seeks investigation of U.S. Justice Department. So John Ray had reported in 2020 to John Barr, Attorney General, that he had information about sex trafficking involving Jeffrey Epstein. And they had made an announcement. They wanted to look into everything related, any tips that they had. John Ray gave him pertinent information about important people, and apparently it was ignored. Now it's becoming big news in Sweden and in parts of Europe. And John Ray is putting pressure on the U.S. Attorney General's office to explain why they never followed up on this in light of recent developments in Jeffrey Epstein's case. While we don't follow Jeffrey Epstein per se directly, it's always been a super interesting case to me. Jeffrey Epstein's so-called suicide. I don't believe he suicided himself at all. I think most people in America don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Some people believe he's still alive and they faked his death. Some people think that he was murdered. I mostly believe he was murdered, although I have, I hear people who say that it was a faked death. But I want to give you some more details on this email as we wait to get a response from his team on the link for this morning. So here's what the press release announcement talks about. In 2020, abused women's advocate Miller Place attorney John Ray reported to the United States attorney information regarding alleged trafficking via Epstein as to young females from Sweden who were connected with Barbro Enbom, a prominent Swede who was connected with the Swedish royal family. Enbom had introduced Swedish Princess Sofia, a New York resident, to her husband, Prince Carl Philip, Duke of Värmland, Crown Prince. Princess Sophia appears to have been befriended by Epstein. In 2020, John Ray requested that the U.S. attorney detain Enbom and investigate the information that he provided. The U.S. attorney refused to investigate the trafficking. Ray is calling for an investigation of the U.S. attorney's office as to this refusal. This matter has become major news in Sweden and in Europe. And then this announcement below it: out of deference to the funeral service of Officer Patricia Espinoza, John Ray will move his press conference to Friday, 2/6/2026. That's today at 11 a.m. That's in about, oh, wow. Is that in about, shit. How soon is that? Half hour. At his Miller Place office located at 122 North County Road, Miller Place. So he's inviting the press to come out. He's giving an announcement. We haven't got the link. I'm still looking for the link. That's the problem. In this press announcement that I was sent from his office, there was this letter, which I'm going to also read while we're killing time waiting for the link. And again, I'm checking my phone regularly to see if we're going to get that link to the show. And if anybody can find it, I've gone out and done some Google foo and some searches trying to find that link. I can't find a link on any news agency that's picking it up. So I think he's going to be giving this a press release from his office, right outside of his office. This is the letter that was sent in March 9th, 2020. And so we know it's related to this because that's what they sent as part of the press release. A letter from Ray Mitive and Associates LLP. This is the Killer Bees again on his website. You saw the Killer Bees up there at the top. It's got so a lot of redacted stuff in here. Not entirely sure for all the reasons, but this letter was sent in 2022 regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation. And again, I'm going to read it to you while we're waiting for the link. Please allow me to convey to the U.S. Attorney General and his investigation what may be useful information regarding the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with various females. I am not aware as to which AUSA is conducting that investigation. Therefore, I have chosen to communicate with you, whom I know to be an astute and conscientious AUSA. It's basically the Attorney General's office, right? I think. I hope you will pass along this information to the proper persons in the Justice Department for immediate consideration and action if required. Attorney General Barr several months ago indicated in public that his office would be pursuing every person who has assisted with Jeffrey Epstein or conspired with him as to his abuse of various young women. There is a woman who appears to have done so repeatedly, who has remained until now out of reach of the investigation. Her name is, and that name is redacted, Miss, another person, I believe, blank, is a blank national who maintained an apartment in New York City until the Epstein investigation became public via Attorney General Barr, whereupon she removed herself to Sweden out of reach of U.S. authority. However, she returns quietly to the U.S. today to remain here for several days in New York City. So what I gather is John Ray received information that she had fled the country, the United States, had fled the United States when the investigation at Epstein became hot, and that he got a tip or something, and that she was going to be back in New York, and asked for the Attorney General to move swiftly to detain her and get her information as part of that investigation of we're going to look everywhere. And so that's kind of the gist of that. Miss So-and-so, that redacted name, repeatedly procured young Swedish women for Jeffrey Epstein's pleasures through an operation called, and that part's been redacted, AKA, also known as BBB. This shell organization is actually only, and I don't know what that part redacted would be. Over several years, Miss Redacted held out to attractive young Swedish females that they could be placed with major American businessmen as interns for at least a year via BBB. This actually appears to have occurred. Now, what he's saying there is it was kind of like a placement agency for pretty, I suppose, pretty Swedish girls to get jobs with American businessmen, of which that was a legitimate business to some extent. However, as the letter continues, but various young Swedes would be placed with Epstein. He paid Miss Blank a considerable sum of money for this. Parenthetically, Miss So-and-so also introduced a soft porn star, Swedish Prince Carl Philip, Duke of Armland Crown Prince, whom he married. All of this background information is available on social media. I have considerable social media documented information about BBB and Miss Blank. Many of her BBB postings and photos suddenly disappeared once Attorney General Barr spoke on Epstein. To be sure, this person redacted was a major player in the Epstein sickening saga. She is well connected in royal and elite Swedish and New York City circles. This person's redacted name has been a Swedish ambassador for many years. Miss, a redacted name, lands in New York, New Jersey today, 3/9/2020. It may be that the U.S. Attorney's Office would wish to confront her before she slips back to Sweden. I am not sanguine that she will be easily cooperative. We are trying to get a location where she will be staying. I am personally an acquaintance of Miss Blank. My life partner is as well. Very truly yours. And the JR et al. Should be John Ray, so I'm not sure why that's redacted there. But that was the letter that they sent along with the press release. So what is that telling us? What it's telling us is John Ray notified back in 2020 that he had information about a particular high-level Swedish connection providing girls for Epstein. And it wasn't acted on, wasn't moved on for the longest time. And now more information is coming out in the Epstein files, and it looks like John Ray's name is mentioned several times in the Epstein files as in relation to this information that John Ray was giving to the U.S. Attorney General's office. And so now that it looks like to me, now that John Ray has seen evidence of himself in the Epstein files, and therefore there's no excuse that the Attorney General didn't know about this situation. He's not only did John Ray, it looks like, write to the Attorney General's office or try to get a hold of him, but in addition, his name appears in Epstein files. So where's the investigation into what he told them about in 2020? That seems to be the high-level overview of what I think is happening and what the press release is going to be about. What I'm not sure exactly is what John Ray intends to say, other than to bring public attention to the newly released, Jeffrey Epstein information and files that's making headlines. And as John Ray said, and I haven't looked into it yet, maybe I'll do it while we're talking live, it appears to be big news in Sweden. So let's see if we can find anything about that while we're waiting. And again, I need to look at my phone. It's a little troublesome, that here we are 20 minutes away from the press release and we still don't have a link. By the way, I have invited, I don't know that he'll take it because John Ray's been on a lot of social media and a lot of YouTube channels, with the Sarge and other YouTubers as well. He makes the rounds and stuff like that. And he's been on our show as well. But again, they personally sent me a message this morning or yesterday, to my name and said, "Hey, Lee, you might want to know about this," and blah, blah, blah. So we had a great we had a great conversation in his office when I was there. We had a great interview, a really good interview that's still available on my channel. I have extended an offer to him to join us live on this stream right here when he gets done with his press release. So hopefully we're going to stream his press release and we're going to get to talk about it live. And then really, really hopefully John Ray will join us live on our backstage as soon as he's done with his public announcement. So let's hope that happens. I've extended the offer to him. I've sent the link. And again, all I am waiting now is for somebody on his side, his assistant, to acknowledge it. I've texted her and sent an email, and we're still waiting. I'm sure if they've got a press release about to happen, they're probably very, very busy over there. But her email did say that they would be sending me the link in the morning. So we're tight against it. And here I am going live with the promise, Hopefully. I can't promise what I can't promise, right? So if they don't give me the link, I can't show it. But if you guys can help find it, I've been searching on the internet for where John Ray's going to be streaming it. It's not from his website. Let me remove this again. Let's see. So I've been refreshing his website, trying to find where it might be on his website, and I haven't seen anything updated there. If you guys have questions or comments while we're hanging out waiting, that would be fine. I can talk to everybody. I'm kind of like, just like I said, we're in a holding pattern at the moment. Even if somebody wants to come up on screen and chit chat with me a little bit, we'd be open for that as well. Just killing some time waiting for that press release to start, and hopefully we'll find the link. Hopefully we'll find the link. He supposedly has a Facebook page I haven't been able to find. Also supposedly has a YouTube page. Robin, what's going on? Robin joined without audio, or she's muted, like sometimes happens lately for some reason. Yeah, well, no, she's not muted, so she's should be good. Are you there, Robin?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
All right.
Ooh,
great.
Robin says we have a. Yeah, you said we have a bunch of links about Sweden and Epstein. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which article you want, but the Princess Sophia apparently has like stayed with Epstein, and the crown prince. She's the crown princess. I don't know how to pronounce her. Meta Marie. She had contact with Jeffrey Epstein.
Throw me a link on our Teams or something like that where I can grab a link and I'll pull it up on screen.
I'll put it in the private chat here real quick.
Okay. Can I link from there, or can I grab that link?
Yeah, you should be able to click on the link.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right, let's put this over here.
I'm looking on YouTube. I'm keeping watch for if John Ray pops on to a stream somewhere.
All right, so we're showing this now on here. New Epstein files include images, emails linked to former Prince Andrew. Oh, that's why it makes it more interesting, doesn't it? You highlighted is that you that highlighted that Norway's crown prince Mette Merritt has expressed regret over her contact with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and describing it as simply embarrassing following a public release of new documents in the Epstein case. So as the Epstein documents come out and people's names get associated, everybody's suddenly embarrassed to have been associated with the guy that nobody wants to now be associated with, and they're more embarrassed that their name got caught. Susie666 was talking about asking what we're talking about. I don't know if you've heard enough of it yet. The press release that's supposed to happen in 15 minutes now. Attorney John Ray, who's been on our show before talking about the Long Island serial killer case, and I went to his office and met with him. They sent me a personal email yesterday letting me know that John Ray is going to be making a public announcement about the Jeffrey Epstein files, because John Ray's name, as I understand it, appears several times in Epstein's newly released Epstein files regarding an incident in which he had informed them about a Swedish ambassador and a sex ring being run out of Sweden in the United States. And he informed Attorney General John Barr about this, and John Barr didn't do anything about it, allegedly. And
not
now
about that.
Right. And now, right. And now that new information's coming out showing John Ray's name is all over this stuff, they're like, well, you can't argue you don't know who the fuck I am or that I told you about it. So now he wants to make a public announcement, it looks like, and say, let's investigate why you didn't look into this when you said you were going to be unturning no stone is going to be unturned, and yet you've got documented proof that I reached out to you multiple ways. We read his letter a minute ago. My name appears in Epstein's files, so why are you just ignoring that? Why did you ignore it? And apparently it's becoming bigger news in Sweden and Europe. I'm trying to find out, is that just the only sentence that talked about that particular thing? Is this whole article mostly about something else, Robin?
I just put more links in the private chat. There's an article in there from the BBC.
Okay. Oh, there's a People magazine one too?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's put this up. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
BBC, Norway Prime Minister agrees Crown Prince had poor judgment over the Epstein links. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store has said he agrees with Crown Prince Merritt's admission of poor judgment after it emerged that she had extensive contacts with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The princess features hundreds of times between 2011 and 14 in the latest files released by the U.S. Department of Justice related to Epstein. The latest embarrassment for the royal family comes on the eve of her son's 7-week trial in Oslo on 38 charges, including rape and assault. Princess Mette Merritt married Norway's Krim Prince Haakon, or Haakon, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, as a commoner when her son Marius Borg Hoiby, I'm not sure how to pronounce these names, was 4 and is in line to become queen with her husband cedes the throne. So yeah, when you're talking about royalty connected to a sex trafficker in the United States, it's a huge deal. And yeah, Susie says, yes, it's massive news here in the UK. Got it. Thanks, DA. So that's what John Ray is supposed to give an announcement today about the fact that this is all over the news in parts of Europe. And now we've talked, and I'll show it again if you'd like, since some people are new now to what's going on. And what the people, let's look at the people thing real quick. We don't have a lot of time. I'm trying to squeeze it all in before hopefully we get that link. Frick, they teased me telling me they're going to send me the link, and I still don't have the link. So
I'm looking
too. Yeah, there's nothing new in my mailbox, and there's nothing, and I got a text message into her as well. Here's from People. Princess Sophia misses another royal outing as Swedish palace issues new statement on her past meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, it is all over the news. And again, we're waiting for John Ray, who we've talked to. And yeah, go ahead.
And and then there's an Instagram post that is saying that she did not meet with Epstein. They're trying to backpedal.
Of course.
Yeah, this is, I don't know who this person is or how credible it is, but so people are starting to come out.
All right.
In defense.
Real quick, because we got,
But yet, why is she all over his files if she didn't have any contact with him,
Right. Let me get this email up to read again to everybody real quick to get you up to speed. Where the hell's the one that I had on screen?
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting the actual. I showed my entire mailbox, which I didn't really necessarily want to do, and all I wanted to do was show the one email that I'm trying to get to blow up, but I'm having a problem opening it here. Dang it, man!
Always with the technical difficulties.
What with the technical difficulties? Just got to make sure we don't.
Wouldn't be what it is if we did.
Right? It seems to be.
There's always some kind of screwy shit going on with it.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm not gonna show part of this press release because it has his assistant's personal phone number. I'm assuming it might be a personal phone number. I'm not sure, but I just don't want to show it because I'm not 100% sure that was supposed to be out to the public. But I think I've looked pretty good to make sure I'm not getting anything that I shouldn't be showing. So this was the email that I received from John Ray's office. Press release, the only person who appears several times in the Epstein Files because he reported on Epstein's alleged sex trafficking and feudally called for U.S. Justice Department investigation, speaks out and seeks investigation of the U.S. Justice Department. In 2020, abused women's advocate Miller Place attorney John Ray reported to the United States attorney information regarding alleged trafficking via Epstein as to young females from Sweden who were connected to Barbro Enbom, a prominent Swede who was connected with the Swedish royal family. Enbom had introduced Swedish Princess Sophia, a New York resident, to her husband, Prince Carl Philip, Duke of Värmland, Crown Prince. Princess Sophia appears to have been befriended by Epstein. In 2020, John Ray requested that the U.S. attorney detain Enbom and investigate the information he provided. The U.S. attorney refused to investigate the trafficking. Ray is calling for an investigation of the U.S. attorney's office as to its refusal. This matter has become major news in Sweden and Europe. Out of deference to the funeral services of Officer Patricia Espinosa, John Ray will move his press conference to Friday, 2/6/2026 at 11 a.m. at his Miller Place office located at blah, blah, blah. And again, that's in 8 minutes, and we're still waiting for a link. I'm looking everywhere I can for the link. I'm going to check my chat, see if anybody has found a link.
I don't see that anybody has.
Damn it. Can't watch the press release if we don't have the press release. But again, I also have an invite into John Ray's office to join us live on this stream after the press release. So in a weird set of circumstances, I guess he could go live. We don't see the live stream, and it probably won't last terribly long. Usually press releases are usually 10 minutes at best. And then maybe he'll jump over and take our invite to join us. We'll see. So that's what we're waiting for. We got 7 minutes. We're still waiting for a link. I do have a phone number. I didn't want to bug them on the phone if they've got a whole bunch of press people around. They may not have anybody. They may be going out there and nobody gives a rip and press won't show up and they think John Ray's a hack, or it could be packed and they're busy and they don't have time to respond. So who knows what the situation is in New York right now? But
yeah, I don't know.
Is there a local New York television station that we can look to see if they're airing it or something?
Let me check.
And again, for those who didn't see it earlier, this is a copy of the letter that I was sent as part of the press release. This was the original letter, redacted, that was sent to the U.S. Attorney's Office in March 9 of 2020, detailing some of that stuff. I don't know that I have a lot of time to read it because we got only 6 minutes before this was to go live, and I don't want to be in the middle of reading it. However, it's on screen. So if you like to do some reading and you can read while I talk, or you can mute me and that way I don't interrupt you. But I grew up in the radio day of not having any silence. So I don't do silence well.
I'm looking, but I'm not seeing any stations that are covering him.
Yeah, and supposedly he might have a YouTube channel, but I can't find it. And he has a Facebook channel, and I can't find it. I found a private group for that you have to request access to on Facebook to be part of John Ray's private group of, I don't know exactly what it is. So I've requested access to that because I'm assuming if they're that interested to have a whole group devoted to John Ray, they probably know about the press release. So we're waiting for that too. But
that's not him. I'm looking everywhere I can.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of digging around here.
People. We gotta have something here. Come on. But this is really super, super interesting. I mean,
it is. I mean, and if it's making that big of news internationally, why is it so hard to find right now here? You know, that's the thing.
Right. And
because it's the U.S.
And I know we're not a politics show, but there are sometimes when the two intersect, and this is one of those times. And it makes total sense to me that Bill Barr would not have done anything with this, considering who his boss was at the time. And you can't overlook that.
Right. It makes Robin, it reminds me, I keep getting reminded that I need to continue on with that book read of One Nation Under Blackmail, because I've been saying the Epstein thing is the key to everything here. But
pretty soon I'm going to read it for the people if you don't.
That might work out. I don't know.
Yeah, we could trade off some chapters.
Yeah. Well, come
My
on. We
com
need a
my
link.
analysis would not be as intellectual as yours. I'd probably just do a lot more swearing.
I'm gonna text her again. I'm not gonna call her. I'm
Yeah,
gonna text her again.
yeah, be like, yo, I'm trying to get you some more eyeballs on this thing because it is very important. I mean, it just
Yeah.
goes to underscore the how far the tentacles of the whole
Yeah.
Epstein crap reach.
All right. How about Miller Place, New York
Okay, let's see.
television stations? See if we can find some television stations there. So ABC7 is out of Miller Place News. Let's see. Channel Master, Miller Fleet. No, let's go to Miller's Place, ABC News. So I've got, this is ABC News, Miller Place News. That's where his place is gonna. It's Long Island couple, but
Yeah,
there's nothing on here about them going and streaming it. So
and I wonder if I call their station, if I can find a phone number. I'll call their station and find out if they're going to be covering it.
yeah, I mean, we got 2 minutes. We should be. I mean, how would they not already be kind of connected? Let's
Well,
see.
right.
But yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna go to
can I
YouTube and see
find?
if.
Can I find a phone number?
Nothing. I can't find anything yet.
Aha!
Uh-huh.
I have found a phone number. I'll be back.
Okay,
I just have
perfect.
to mute myself.
Thank you. News12.com, one said. And it's always possible that the media doesn't want to show up. They're just gonna like, whatever, John. We're not gonna look into Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know. Or he's packed out there and we just don't have the right station. And thanks for stopping in, 1-1, to help us look as well. I figured, you being a New Yorker, you could tell me all about it. Did you, by the way, I noticed that they moved the press release because of an officer's funeral. I was going to ask if you can verify that's, I mean, I shouldn't say verify as in we don't, but Patricia Espinoza, they said that they were, out of deference to the funeral service of Officer Patricia Espinoza, John Ray's moving his press conference to his Miller Place office. Sarah's talking about Sheriff Grady in the files. It's amazing how many people are going to be like, oh my God, so-and-so is in these files. That's not good. It's not good. So again, for those, it is now 8:00. We are now officially potentially missing it. It's not uncommon for press releases to start late. So I'm still hopeful somehow that we're going to get something. But again, John Ray's office said that they would send me the link in the morning. I haven't got the link yet. And so I don't know what's going on. We're waiting to see if we can get that link. And again, John Ray does have an invite to our stream right here to join us after the press release. So if for some reason we just had really, really bad communication on the link where he's streaming from, hopefully he'll jump in here afterwards and fill us in. Good morning, Elise Marie. It's killing me that the press conference could be going on right now, and we don't have the stream. Grady is deplorable. He literally didn't believe SS victim, and to prove it, she had to film her own sexual assault to get her abuser or abused arrested. Jeez, my gosh. By the way, I had a really interesting contact on the Shannon Gilbert Lisk case that I'm hoping to get on our channel soon. Can't you go to Fox News or CNN? I mean, yes, we'll go to CNN, but I don't think CNN is going to cover it. It's probably more local news because I doubt CNN is going to do it. But we'll for sure go there right now. Yeah, front page of CNN is the Guthrie story. Nothing on the front page. We'll search for John Ray. Maybe we'll search for John Ray. Nothing. Nada, bada bing, bada bing. Nothing.
Okay, so I called and I got a hold of somebody at that station. They said they're not covering it and they wanted to know what it was about, and I told them and they hung up.
Are you kidding?
No.
They hung up on you because you mentioned Jeffrey Epstein?
They're like, "Oh, what's this about?" And I told him, he's like, "Click."
What? That's the rudest shit ever. What the hell?
I was like, "You might want to cover this. It's pretty important." And he's like, "What is it?" And I told him, and just click. It's like they hear Epstein and bam.
Maybe he hung up because they didn't have time to talk to you about it. They need to get people on it immediately to find out how the hell they're missing it.
Oh, wouldn't that be good? But I don't know. I don't know. He didn't. That was pretty interesting.
How weird is that?
And then I called another number to the station, but it went to like a tip line, so that wasn't going to be helpful. It went to a voicemail.
Yeah. Sarah Gentry said, "I've been waiting for you to cover this. It'll make it'll Mike have covered. You are my third creator that I watch covering this." Nice. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't spend more time on the Epstein stuff. Epstein's story really intrigues me. We touched on it peripherally with the Charlie Kirk assassination and kind of focusing on Tyler Robinson's alleged involvement, or whatever, however you want to view that, actual involvement or alleged involvement.
Yeah.
But we believe that was a political assassination, and I personally believe it's probably related to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So we're definitely interested in just seeing if anything shakes loose. One's got a new address to try. Let's see, ABC7.
That's the one I called, was ABC7, but maybe there's a different number. I'll call. I don't care.
Well, we called the Miller Place ABC affiliate. Maybe this is a different ABC affiliate. I don't know. But nothing. Nothing.
No. Wonder if we try NBC. I don't care who we get a hold of. Let's try NBC. Yeah.
And I still don't have a message from his assistant or an email. I mean, that's aggravating. It is 11 o'clock in New York, is it not? It is 11 a.m. in New York.
Yeah.
This is February 6th. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So I've got the right date and time, the right bat time and the right bat channel. Well, actually, we don't have the bat channel, but we do have the right bat time.
Yep.
BBC. Oh, why wouldn't BBC? Right. If this is a big European story, why wouldn't maybe BBC would cover this? Hold on.
Oh, maybe. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, I don't see it on BBC's website.
Let's go to BBC News.
Right. That's where I'm at, bbc.com/news. Live. Let's go click on live. There's nothing live.
That's what I did.
Yeah. John, you have to tell us where your link's at if we're going to.
Yeah, come on now.
They are 6 minutes late, DA. Well, I would hope they're just late getting started, but we still need a link. We need a link. I can't stream something and talk about it if we don't have the link. My only hope is that they're running late on their side and they haven't sent out the link because they're still gathering interest. Maybe they didn't get enough people showing up and they're trying to push some buttons to get people to show up for the press conference. I don't know. Who knows? We got nothing. I got her later. Don't even know what's going on. Just time verification. What's that?
But while everyone's here, if you could like the video, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Like the stream, that'd be nice. I appreciate that. Or like, subscribe, or whatever. If you don't know about me, you might find some cool shit on there. You could always change your mind later if you don't like me. But so yeah, we're just waiting. We're waiting for some more information. And again, John Ray does have an invite to join us on stage when he's done. So if for some reason it aired and we didn't get to see it, maybe we'll get it straight from the horse's mouth and actually have a discussion with him, which would be better than the press release.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go make another phone call. I'll be back.
All right, cool. All right. While she's doing that, I'm going to share one more time what we're talking about. I received from John Ray, Attorney John Ray's office. We've had him on the show before. I've been to his office and had a personal conversation with him about the Long Island serial killer case. They sent me an email yesterday. His assistant sent this press release saying that I might want to know about this press release coming up. The only person who appears several times in the Epstein Files because he reported on Epstein's alleged sex trafficking and futilely called for the U.S. Justice Department investigation, speaks out and seeks investigation of U.S. Justice Department. This is the press release that John Ray's side put out. In 2020, abused women's advocate Miller Place attorney John Ray reported to the United States attorney information regarding alleged trafficking via Epstein as to young females from Sweden who were connected with Barbro Enbom, a prominent Swede who was connected with the Swedish royal family. Enbom had introduced Swedish Princess Sofia, a New York resident, to her husband, Prince Carl Philip, Duke of Värmland, Crown Prince. Princess Sofia appears to have been befriended by Epstein. In 2020, John Ray requested that the U.S. attorney detain Enbom and investigate the information he provided. The U.S. attorney refused to investigate the trafficking. Ray is calling for an investigation of the U.S. attorney's office as to this refusal. This matter has become major news in Sweden and Europe. And again, to go with the major news, we did look up, for example, several sites in Sweden, and now I'm all of a sudden finding where the hell did we put those? Let me see if I can bring those up to you. No, of course not. Where's all the links that we just put up a little bit ago with these stories from? I'll just have to reload them. So we're just trying to get confirmation whether they're just late. They didn't send the link to me. Again, here's people talking about a bit of this. Princess Sofia misses another royal outing as Swedish palace issues new statement on her past meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. This is what we're talking about. That's one of the stories. Another one here from the BBC. Norway's prime minister agrees crown princess had poor judgment over Epstein's links. And now they want me to sign up for the BBC and pay for a monthly subscription. we normally do that kind of thing. I don't want to do it right now live because I'm not putting in credit card information on screen. So yeah, we'll wait to see if we can get more on that. Lady G 5919 says, funny how all the COVID BS came out when the Epstein Files first came out. Are you trying to say that mainstream media and the government tries to distract the people and look the other way when something big is? Yeah, I get you. Yes, there's a lot of times when we feel like the news has been manipulated and some story comes out to what its primary purpose is to avoid you looking at the bigger story, if that's even possible. I don't know how you have a bigger story than COVID, but yeah.
Well, I wasn't able to get through to anyone at NBC. I did leave a voicemail, but
Okay.
whether
Well,
anyone will return my call is, you know.
well, thank you for being a pit bull this morning. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm not afraid.
A lot
I'm
of
gonna try
motion in
CBS.
the UK about Epstein. Unfortunately, Sky News might have some stuff. Well, we can look at Sky News. Let's see. So Sky News. Suffolk strangler told he will die in prison as he's sentenced to. So nothing. Nada bada nothing.
I think you need to call that lady.
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, one sent me the number. I've got text messages into that. They gave me that number. I didn't know if it was a private number, but that's his assistant's number that you just sent me. And I already have multiple text messages into her. I haven't called her. I guess I will. Let me put you on hold while I go call his assistant real quick.
Okay. Yeah, this is all extremely fascinating. I mean, how far this reaches is just incredible, and it just goes to show the lengths that the powers that be will go to cover this stuff up. For those who may not realize, there's so many nations that this touches, and the book that uh, we've been going through, the One Nation Under Blackmail, um, really goes in depth about that. What's up, 1-1? I have not had a chance to really go through and delve into those documents, but I plan on doing so because, man, it's just got to be incredible. I mean, and frankly, I am non-political about this. I want anybody associated with this whole thing to go down. I don't care who it is. I don't care what, you know, uh, party they're from. I don't care if they're celebrities. I don't care nothing. If you've been involved, then sorry, you need to be punished. I don't understand how we don't have people who are, being arrested at this point for their involvement in this thing. I don't care if who you are. What do you got, sir?
I just got I got voicemail. It was the
Oh,
number for his assistant was actually John Ray's voice on the voicemail, and so I left a detailed message letting him know that I got the invitation and I'm trying to find him and reminding him that he's got an invite to join us backstage. So I'm just waiting to hear back. So we did leave a voicemail with John Ray's office, and hopefully we'll hear something here shortly.
yeah, I'm keeping checking here. I'm gonna go try this CBS phone number. I'll be back.
All right. Well, we're on the hold. My hope is that they're just late delivering the press conference and haven't set up the link, and that's not uncommon. And or that if they did have it and we didn't get the link for some reason, that John will take us up on the offer of joining us live. Worst case scenario, I expect that we'll hear from John Ray. John Ray called me personally the first time I reached out to him, and we had a nice conversation. And then again, I went to his office and met with him. So I wouldn't say John Ray and I are, long lost buddies, but John Ray has taken the time to personally call me and had a long conversation. And I met him at his office and had a long conversation. And he has always been warm to our coverage of the Long Island serial killer case, the Shannon Gilbert case. He sent me personal information, a bunch of documents, legal documents in his pursuit of Peter Hackett, or Charles Hackett, Charles Peter Hackett. It's confusing, I know, but all those names are associated with Peter Hackett. He sent me some personal information about that, or not necessarily super personal, but information regarding his lawsuit in that case as well. So I have communications with John Ray, so hopefully we will hear from him soon. So again, we're talking about big. It sounds like people are confirming in here that this is big news in the UK and Sweden, of course, and other things about Princess Sophia and the scandal involving Jeffrey Epstein and stuff like that that's recently come out. Oddly enough, it's so funny. Robin called ABC News this morning, local affiliate, trying to find out if they're covering it. They didn't even know about it. They asked what she's talking about. She mentions Jeffrey Epstein, and they hung up on her. That's horrible. I feel bad. I hate when people treat you like shit. My only hope is that they hung up on her because they're trying to find out why they're missing it, and they're rushing like mad to try to get someplace, but who knows? Yeah, right. So somebody says that they say that there's this some source says there's no official press release today, and all I can say is again, I got sent the notice from John Ray's office about the announcement, and in fact, it says, and I'll put up on screen again, add to stage. This is from John Ray's law office press release announcement, and they said, out of deference for the funeral services of Officer Patricia Espinoza, John Ray will move his press conference to Friday, 2026 at 11 a.m. at his Miller Place office in New York. And so and that's the office I visited John Ray at the Miller Place office, I believe. So we're waiting. And again, we have an invitation to John Ray to join us. So thank you for hanging out a little bit. Hopefully we're going to hear something soon. Somebody here said a minute ago, there's a politician in England who has resigned over this. See, this is big. This is a big deal. That the U.S. media hasn't picked up on it is troublesome, especially if it is getting traction over in Europe. And People magazine had an article about it. So I don't know what's happening here with that. So we've got Robin's out making phone calls. Robin, what do you got? I just saw you turn your mic back on.
Yep. The only one I was able to get a hold of was Fox 5 News. And they said that if we get the link to let them know that they'd like to cover it.
Right. Well, we all would like to cover it.
So I have an email address, and she's like, "Oh, send us the link if you get the link." So
somebody said to
we
check
might be able to get some more eyeball. I'm surprised that Fox will sometimes cover stuff that I'm surprised the other stations aren't covering. Fox, often on YouTube, we luck into watching Fox about certain things in New York that other stations won't cover. So that's pretty interesting. She's like, "Oh, if you get it, call me, either call back or email it."
That's funny.
So
Yeah, I had somebody saying check your mail, so I'm looking. Fuck! I got the link.
yay!
Shit!
Put
It's on.
put it in
Damn
the
it!
private chat so I can give it to the Fox 5 people.
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Hold on.
Okay.
There's too much going on. Okay, hold on. There's the link. Let me get the screen shared. Now I got to get audio going. Why is there no audio? Here we go.
Barbara's best and brightest. BBB. The initial she gave it. And she claimed that this organization was designed by her to promote
I need the link.
women in American society.
I posted it
to get them jobs with
right
corporations
into the
in
chat.
America.
Oh, okay.
She had these two organizations, of which she was the only active member, working with one another to supposedly promote the interests of Swedish young women. That promotion turned out to be largely involving Jeffrey Epstein and providing him with women. Now, when Barbara did this, created these organizations, the BBB girls were supposed to have come from a school of economics located in Stockholm, which was founded by the Wallenberg family in Sweden, another very prominent Swedish family amongst the nobility of Sweden.
You guys do have sound, right?
Yeah.
Barbara was a graduate of this school, or so she says. And she took these women originally from that school and promoted them by holding these dinners at which musicians would perform, and prominent men, middle-aged and old men, would come to be commingled with the girls, the young women who were there. This process she used virtually every year, starting from around the year 2001. In 2002, she named the Man of the Year for the Soros organization, and it was none other than Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein appears to have appeared at several of these big affairs, these big functions that were held, and he seems to have dominated because he gave money to these organizations.
Robin, are you getting that link to Fox?
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
Over the course of the years from approximately 2012 through 2021 were monies provided by Epstein to Barbara Enbom. These organizations also collected money from other rich people and other rich organizations, including Pfizer and other such big companies like that.
Okay.
The monies have never been accounted for, but we know that I know that Barbara Enbom had no discernible source of income during these years I'm talking about, except for the monies contributed by these organizations. She maintained penthouses in New York, over on Park Avenue, and during this period of time, and she was very closely connected with Epstein during this time. They exchanged over 100 emails that are known from the Epstein files that have been released. So it's true to say that I was actually the only one that emerges from all the Epstein files where I mentioned several times. I'm the only one that's in there because I reported these bad ongoing acts that between Enbom and Epstein, to the Attorney General and asked him to act. So let's hear what Attorney General Barr said when all of these developments occurred back in 2019, 2020, when the Epstein saga was just beginning to really unfold.
Before I begin, I'd like to briefly address news from the Manhattan Correctional Center over the weekend regarding Jeffrey Epstein. This sex trafficking case was very important to the Department of Justice and to me personally. It was important to the dedicated prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and to our FBI agents who investigated the case and were preparing it for trial. Most importantly, this case was important to the victims who had the courage to come forward and deserve the opportunity to confront the accused in the courtroom. I was appalled, and indeed the whole department was, and frankly, angry to learn of the MCC's failure to adequately secure this prisoner. We are now learning of serious irregularities at this facility
John's
that are
irritated.
deeply concerning and demand a thorough investigation. The FBI and the Office of Inspector General are doing just that. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability. But let me assure you that this case will continue on against anyone who was complicit with Epstein. Any co-conspirators
This is
should
backpedaling
not
by
rest
Bill
easy.
Barr.
The victims deserve justice, and they will get it.
Go to the second tape.
I was able to get a hold of Fox 5 and let him know about that link.
Jeffrey Epstein.
All right,
He
thank you.
sounded really
I
excited.
was livid, obviously. I believe very strongly in that case, and I was very proud
Thank
of the
you.
work done by the department in
Mhm.
the Southern District on that case. And as you will recall, after he committed suicide, I said that I was confident that we would continue to pursue this case vigorously and pursue anyone who's complicit in it. And so I'm very happy that we were able to get Ms. Maxwell.
If there are other co-conspirators, are you coming for them?
If they've been involved, if they've been complicit.
Okay, you've heard it from Attorney General Barr that everybody involved, anyone complicit, they were going to chase, they were going to take down. But in this case, they didn't do that. Now, we know that in 2020, Barr was interested, as he said, in speaking with Prince Andrew, British Prince Andrew, because he was involved in these bad activities, these illicit activities. But the same Attorney General and his staff had no interest whatsoever in the goings on of the prominent Swedes and the royal family involving Epstein. And no one there was ever spoken to or spoken with, notwithstanding the revelations that I gave them about the connection between Barbara Weinbaum and Jeffrey Epstein. So that's a very unusual situation.
Robin,
To
you
give
might
you an
want to
idea of
let Fox know that he might come on
some
with
of the
us. if
things
they
that we
wanted
do
to
know
follow him.
occurred between Epstein and Enbaum in involving themselves with these girls that she basically brought into her organizations. It was like a honeypot trap. Consider these things. These girls were brought by Barbara Weinbaum, some of them, to Epstein's very expensive apartments in New York and in Paris. And there they were brought into a so-called leather room in Paris. And they were told they had to wear dresses. They had to dress up in dresses, in high heels, and in sweatpants. I'm sorry, in high heels. Let me do that again. They were told to dress in high heels and short skirts. And meanwhile, Epstein was in sweatpants. And when they came into the apartment in Manhattan in the leather room, some of them were asked to dress in schoolgirl clothings, school uniforms, where they then served Jeffrey Epstein with tea. And these other girls were brought into the leather room, served champagne, and were otherwise, I don't know how well they were treated, but they were brought in, and this should not have been done. Now,
I'm contacting them
some
again.
of these girls actually
Okay.
did go on to work in various corporate capacities, but many of them were only really just brought in for the honey trap. I will show you some of these girls who were actually attending the Saul's dinners and involving themselves with Barbara Enbom and Epstein. That gives you a flavor of what was really going on here, and how these girls were made to dress for all of these older men. Now, since I was the partner of an opera singer, Swedish opera singer, who knew Enbom, and I came to know her as well, the opera singer was asked to sing at one of these affairs by Enbom, and she did. And so I came to the one of these affairs, and I observed what you just saw. I saw many of these very young girls involved in some way or other with all these elderly men. In other words, it was a big dinner of sorts, coming together upon. It was all these older men, and very old men in some cases, with their arms around these young women and associated with all these young women. Okay. So, it struck me as very odd. And I wondered what was going on. Now, knowing Aunt Barbara as I did, I knew that she had these organizations that were just alter egos of herself. And it sort of just bothered me that something was going on, and I just didn't know exactly what. Once the Epstein case became more and more apparent to the public, it became more and more apparent to me that what was going on was illicit. And so, at least in part. And so I wrote to the Attorney General about this, because of my advocacy for the abused women. In any event, we come now to what I have done. I have written to Attorney General Bondi a letter, and I have sent it as well to our Congressman LaLota, as well as to Senator Schumer and Senator Gilbert, so that we could reactivate this investigation. And I've written to Attorney General Bondi that pretty much what I've just explained at this press conference and pointed out that the Attorney General's staff strangely made no effort to learn of this young female's ages when they had this actual information, and we had sent them the pictures. By the way, the pictures I showed you came from Barbara Wenbaum's social media, and several of them did anyway, and she scrubbed them all, but we had them, so that's how we got them. And these were turned over, these pictures, to the Attorney General. So they knew that these girls were young, that they were amongst all these old men, that Barbara Enbaum had provided them, that she was connected to Jeffrey Epstein in all these regards, and that there were problems very similar to the problems that, set up a honeypot trap for other girls on Epstein's Island with Prince Andrew. So they had all that information. Why in God's name didn't they independently check the ages of these girls? Why didn't they confront Barbara when I gave them the information, the specific information that Barbara would be in New York at a certain time, and they could have gone and spoken to this person of interest, and they failed and refused to do it. They refused to do it. So I've written to Bondi, Attorney General Bondi, and I have said that I'm asking that Bondi conduct an investigation as to why, in light of Barr's statements that no stone would be unturned, everybody complicit in this would be prosecuted, that nothing was done about Barbara Wenbaum and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what I've just explained here has already become a major scandal in Sweden and throughout Europe. And I'm bringing it forward to people here now and saying, do something about this. Find out what really happened. Find out why these girls were brought to Epstein, and he was catered by them. There's even, you can see, by the way, there's emails that say things like that Barbara was looking for Epstein to have a quote unquote smart and sensual scholarship recipient, so that smart and sensual, right. So that Epstein could basically connect with her. Smart and sensual. What does sensual have to do with bioscience? Nothing. In any event, I've asked the Attorney General to investigate its own department and investigate the Barr department back in 2020 and why this wasn't addressed. Keep in mind, Attorney General Bondi and the Trump administration is currently going back to 2020 to look at voting records in the state of Georgia and in other places to determine whether or not they believe there was any kind of a fraud that was perpetrated. So they're perfectly able and willing to go back to those years and investigate what really happened. And this happened in 2020. So they have the capacity and the willingness to do that. And I'm asking them to do that in this case. Barbara's organizations were undoubtedly weird. And that was a red flag in itself, that anybody could be involving themselves in this weird behavior and for which there is no consequence whatsoever, involving millions of dollars taken over the years and gone. For what? Millions of dollars coming from Jeffrey Epstein to solicit young Swedish beautiful girls. So I ask, what was the true nature of the weird organization called Barbara's Best and Brightest, BBB? For what did Barbara Enbaum actually use the Swedish-American Life Science Summit, SALS? Whence and why came money? to Ms. Enbaum and her organizations. Where did that money go? These are the things that should be looked at. They're active issues. And those people who were involved in these issues are largely still here, still alive, still active. So I'm asking that something be done about it. And I'm asking that I hear back from the Attorney General and from the other politicians I've contacted about this. This is no small matter in light of what I've said. It affects the royal families, the Scandinavian royal families. It affects the very structure of government in countries that are our allies. And it affects one of the biggest scandals of all time, sexual scandals, dealing with Jeffrey Epstein. And it should not go unnoticed and buried alive like some of these women were in society in their time. Thank you. I'll just answer any questions that are asked.
John, there is a email in the files. It is to and from redacted, and it's a very rambling type email, but it's titled John Ray connected to Epstein through Barbara Enbaum. And it mentions what you've mentioned. It also talks about some of the Suffolk County scandals like Burke and Spoda and all that. I'm just wondering, have you seen this email, and do you know who might have sent it, what their goal might have been?
I have seen the email which you're referring to. It comes from a woman who is seriously off balance, and she's been for years. She's actually harassed my family where we had to call the police. She's pretty much a psychopath in the way she's behaved and invented all of these things. For example, she says I think in the email in part that when I went to one day I went to see the trial of Thomas Spoda, and I walked in and Spoda greeted me, said hello, or shook his head to me, something like that. And she said he and I were exchanging Google eyes with one another, that we were somehow therefore sexually connected. I mean, you can't take her seriously. Unfortunately, there she is. And you can't, I can't stop her. I don't even try to stop her. I just let her go. But she's a whack job, basically.
Got it. And just the other thing is, overall, you've kind of made a name for yourself on Long Island, discussing human trafficking and women being trafficked, women being victims of this. You've been called a gadfly, an ambulance chaser, all those kind of things. Just all this coming out, the Epstein stuff, is it vindicating to you as someone who's been on this for all these years?
Well, I've been called a lot of things, but many good people have been called a lot of bad things too. And I'm hoping that I'm on the side of the good. But in all my years, I've done things, all the things you've heard that you referred to, for example, the Shannon Gilbert case, which is still ongoing, by the way, and many other cases that had public exposure for free. They're pro bono, and I'm not a wealthy lawyer that can afford to do that. I've done that. And I've stayed an advocate. So if that's a gadfly, okay, I'll take that name anytime. But I guess I lost the train of your question. So
just, given all this pro bono work you've done, all this coming out, while it's indeed horrible, is it vindicating to you to see that, all of this, the elite human trafficking, it is all true?
Yeah, I don't know if vindication is what I'm looking for. It's not about the investigation of these people is not about me. It is I who bring this forth because people come to me and ask me to basically help them. And I do. And this is how I do. And in this case, that was no exception to that. There are, like I said, I've known Enbaum for years. There's reasons why I don't like her. And this is certainly one of them. So I don't know. I just think that, isn't it the right thing to do to just help out? in situations like this, help out these women who are abused. Look, if we thought that all these women were strong, super women that could stand up for themselves on their own legs and they fit the feminist ideal, then they wouldn't need people like I am. But they're not. And these girls are people who have been misused, have been abused by boyfriends, husbands, other partners. They're abused by the system. They don't have a chance. They never had a chance. Many of them. I represented. I can't tell you how many sex workers pro bono for former sex workers and even current sex workers I've represented over and over the years, because they're in a hopeless situation. Don't they deserve some mercy, some charity? That's what I'm giving. And you want to call me all the names you want to call me and go on the internet and Reddit and say terrible things, go ahead. I mean, I'm bound to get that kind of reaction when I involve myself in controversy like this one. But I didn't do this case of Barbara Enbaum and Epstein publicly. Right. I often will go public when we think we can use the public to help, for example, to produce witnesses that come forward because they saw things on TV, or to produce evidence of some kind or other. But in this case in particular, nothing went public. I wrote this letter to the Attorney General and said, go ahead, look, here's this evidence, do something about it. And it sat for years. And I didn't bring it out. It came out in the Epstein Files. And right away, I got calls from Swedish newspapers and Swedish TV reporters who said, hey, we just saw your name in the Epstein Files. I had no idea my name was in the Epstein Files. And they told me about it. So then I gave them interviews as they had requested. And this thing all exploded in the newspapers and on TV in Europe. And I just thought when people here in America hadn't heard about it, now they will have heard about it. They should know the entire story. And they should know that the government, which I do not trust, because I do believe that we are a republic and therefore a society and government of law and not of people, and that we should distrust our government inherently because it seeks power. And that government has crushed some of these people and has crushed their reputations and has crushed this incident by not investigating it, by doing nothing about it. Don't you think I have more than a right to come forward, but rather an obligation once this has been published? I didn't publish it, but so I don't feel vindicated, even when finally someone says justice has been done. Do you really think justice will have been done when things that have been done cannot be undone? For example, murders. Well, we keep hearing people say, well, they want closure, the victims. How does a victim who suffers the terrible things that have happened and their families have closure? Is there such a thing? Do these little girls who were scooped up by Enbaum and put into the honeypot trap, can we ever give them justice? God only knows what's happened to them because of this and what they feel inside from what has happened. So I don't look for vindication. I don't look for justice. I try to provide mercy and therefore help. That's my position. You don't like it, go on the internet and make up some more nonsense. It's okay.
One more question. You have been approached by many sex workers on Long Island who were victims of trafficking, that kind of stuff, and you have represented them pro bono. Have you been approached by anyone who says they were a victim of Epstein or anything like that?
I have not been approached by anybody in particular. They're in Sweden. I mean, so
Right.
It's not likely that they would come to me. But no, I don't know. I just know the facts that we know, and that's what I came forward with. But no.
I don't know if you want to talk about this. I don't know. Are you live on Facebook? So the parallels to Gilgo and the Huerman case. You got a lot of flack for showing Victoria's Tumblr account and all the satanic images, but there is a clear parallel to Epstein's artistic sense of demonic worship. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, Epstein had some very terrible demonic pictures and such decorations in his homes, in his various places. That we know. We also know that he was even confronted by a reporter who said to him, "Are you the devil?" And he didn't answer that question right away with a no. He paused and he thought about it, and he gave a very equivocal answer. So, look, the things that were going on in that whole sphere of society that were these deep, filthy, sensual abominations often are demonic. We know that. If you don't believe that, that's okay. Then you don't believe, and you might as well be on Epstein's side then, for that matter. But if you recognize what he is and what he did, you can't deny that there is a demonic element in what he was doing. If otherwise, why are these girls offended?
But
if
in the
that weren't
show
true.
House of Horrors that 50 Cent produced, we saw those same kind of images in the home, no?
Yes. And therefore, I was going to say that the demonic elements in Epstein's endeavors and his island are related to, in a broad sense, to anybody who is involving themselves in that kind of practice or that kind of behavior. And nobody is more greatly involved in that sort of 666 sensuality than Huerman and his family. You can't deny it. And I know when I brought this out and showed the pictures that were being looked at in that household, the horrifying sexual pictures and brutal dismemberment of human beings, and on the wall in the Huerman home, when Peacock did its movie, Peacock did not do a documentary, as it said. That's no documentary. Those were staged things, and those two family members of Huerman got paid a lot of money to do what they were doing. They staged their house when they were filmed with a huge wall hanging of Baphomet, the statue of Baphomet. The statue of Baphomet is the statue of the devil. And the House of Satan, the worship of Satan, led by Anton McVeigh out in San Francisco, identified that statue as the devil. And that was hanging on their wall in the Huerman household, the same household where downstairs women were butchered to death in a sealed room. And that hanging, behind that hanging, was another hanging with all witchcraft symbols. When that girl appeared, the daughter appeared on the Peacock show, take a look at it carefully, where she has her little hair in a bun. That's not the real her. But she's wearing a ring with a black snake wound up to strike. Why would you pose with that in this picture, where you're otherwise dressed in a dowdy way? You put all those together, and more, listen to what those women are saying or have said about that family, the women in the family. And you start to see that I wasn't wrong when I brought this out, right? I brought out evidence. You do what you want with the evidence, but the evidence is there. And in the same sense, you can say that is, in a broad sense, connected to a demonic behavior. How else could you call it, with women being chopped up in that house and with all the things you see? And do you keep pictures of the devil on your house? in your dining room, hanging on your wall? Who does that? In a house where there's been murders, where you stay and you live? Has anybody started to get the message yet? These women are laughing at you in society. You who say, oh, these were victims they're actually victims of their own family. Well, maybe they are. But when did they cross the line from victimhood into something worse? And that's the same thing as Epstein, in the sense that it all centers around a perverse, evil sense of sexuality. Isn't that what happens to girls who are sex workers, who get abused? Isn't that what happens on a daily basis, that they're being abused in a terrible, filthy, demonic way? I see the connection. Can anybody else?
John, as we discussed that particular press conference that you held back there, that we were all at, where you revealed the art and whatnot, that press conference led so many people associated with the Gilgo case to jump in and attack you and call you those things. Why do you think why do you think people jumped in to defend the family? You know, what do you think? There's maybe people want to deny that this sort of stuff is going on because it's horrible. Why do you think that happened?
It was passing strange to me and to the ordinary person who appeared on the internet, emails and such, and social media, passing strange to us, the average people, that these things could be going on in the human household, and people would say that these people involved in that, what was going on, were somehow innocent victims. Victims, yes. Innocent, no. And because they took that presumption, they thought it was outrageous. The small group of those who thought that, they thought it was outrageous that I could dare to attack a victim. I didn't attack. I exposed what was true, what did happen. But regardless, think about that. Now, many of those same people, after they've listened to Åsa Ellerup speak over and over, for example, calling her husband a hero, they begin now to say, second guess here, maybe we were wrong. And they should be saying that, because they were wrong. Think about it. This Åsa Ellerup saying that her husband's a hero. He can't be a hero unless she approved of what he did. That's not heroic. And if she approved of what he did, how deep is her involvement? Her hairs and her daughter's hairs are found on the skulls and other parts of the dead bodies. One hair found on the famous belt buckle. The DA says, well, that's transference hair. How does he know that? Were these girls really involved? I think that needs to be explored.
Well, he did study Stockholm Syndrome heavily. So perhaps they were victims of that exact thing, that they were held to a different standard for so many years. They just bought into the demonic acts that they were subjected to. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that it could be a form of Stockholm Syndrome.
If Stockholm Syndrome even exists, there's certainly some real questions about how that came to be defined. But even if it does exist, and it's true that somehow the family adopted bad behaviors and bad thoughts as their own because of the circumstances of the father, of the husband, even if that's true, if we were to just accept that belief and say, that's where it all ends, that's the end of the discussion, then that could be true of every crime that's ever been committed. It came from their parents, it came from their circumstances. But, there's a line that's crossed where there's a choice that's made. There's a choice, for example, to stay in that house after the murders had occurred there. There's a choice to call your husband a hero after you know what he did, right? I mean, I don't buy it otherwise. I just don't, and I can't, because I see, you know, they're abused, they need help too, but they also have to take the consequences of what they're involved in, and they haven't. There's been no consequence for them except money.
Okay.
So let me finish with, and thank you for coming, everyone.
It's off now. Do you want to speak more?
Well, you can still just hit cancel and he can
Yeah.
do the finish.
Still live.
So let me finish, everybody. Thank you for coming. With this. This is a serious matter of international import. The Epstein behavior is still an issue which is alive and befouling to society in Europe and America. And I'm asking that the U.S. Attorney do her job now. Find out why the ball was dropped when it came to the Swedish royal family and it came to the Swedish society, and find out why it was dropped in New York and here in America. And then finally, report on that to me and to the public. Thank you.
So we missed the first part of the release. It looks like he had it streaming on his personal Twitch stream. Sounds like there was a reporter or two, at least, who knows how many were there at the office, a reporter that had covered him earlier when he had. So today's press release was about Jeffrey Epstein and the recently released or acknowledged references to John Ray and the Epstein Files, because people were reaching out to him, it sounds like, from Sweden and other places in Europe to comment on his appearance in the Epstein Files. In those Epstein Files, it was clear John Ray had filed information about a Swedish royalty connection to Epstein, providing young girls to businessmen in the United States back in 2020, and had given that information to Bill Barr, Attorney General, to look into Epstein during the time that he was saying no stone will go unturned as we look into Epstein. And now all of a sudden it's coming out more information. And I think what happened is when John Ray sees his name in those papers and people are calling from Europe going, why haven't anybody done anything with this? He's like, yeah, that's a good question. Why don't we ask the Attorney General to explain why they ignored all of these attempts to, he literally gave them a window in which a Swedish woman involved in this and the royalty thing had left the United States and fled back to her home country. It sounded like when the Epstein kind of thing started to hit the fan. And then he got word that she was coming back into the United States in New York for a short period of time, and that they had a small window to seize her when she was back in the United States and dig into that investigation with the Swedish royal family and all those things like that. And so he said, look, time is of the essence. I know she's coming into town. I can get information about where exactly she's going to be. We're working on that now. But you might want to take this opportunity while she's here in the U.S. again. And they failed to follow up on it. So now, as you can see, John Ray looks like he's a little irritated, to say the least. Mainstream media doesn't seem to pick it up much. I don't know what the deal is there. Take it for what it is. Robin did a great job this morning calling ABC and Fox and other affiliates to try to get them to pay attention. It sounded like she got Fox's attention, that they were interested. Whether or not they aired any of it or recorded any of it, plan to air it, we don't know. Robin, I saw you turn your microphone on.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do anything with it, and I put in a bunch of different live streams on the local New York news on their YouTube channels. I put the link to this live stream so that they could see what's going on and potentially watch, if John does come on to chat with us about it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to get the word out there as much as possible. So,
Well, I appreciate that. I know you're busy doing other things, so taking the time to do that is amazing. And I hope that we are going to hang out for a little bit and see if John Ray will join us. I've met with John Ray in that very office that you're looking at on screen. We had a conversation there for a while when I was visiting New York on the Luigi Mangione and Long Island serial killer case. We talked the Lisk case in his office. And John was interested in coming back on our show again and talking to us more. He did a big interview with us. So I'm hopeful John will take up he might be busy right now. I don't know if anybody else is trying to get him on to talk right now, but he's got an invite to join us backstage. So I can bring him up on stage and talk to him about the conference, the press release he just made and his attempt to reach out to Pam Bondi to get attention to this. So let's hope he gets backstage. So
yeah,
that we
he is a class act all the way, and just so down to earth. I remember you telling me you had lost your luggage and you had to go see him.
Yeah, I know. I had to go. I had right. Yeah, we lost our luggage when I had an appointment to see him. I had no. I was in sweats that I'd been wearing for like 3 days or some shit, and it was kind of embarrassing. But he like you said, he's down to earth. He doesn't really care too much about that at all. So it was a great conversation, and it was really good. He was super nice. And we had a great conversation when we did our interview together as well. And so,
yeah, that was an amazing interview. So, if you haven't seen that interview, I'll stick the link in the chat. You need to see it.
Part of me thinks, I could go back to being full screen or whatever. But then again, I don't know. Maybe people want to see John Ray's face so they can kind of understand who he is and what he did. Can I join? Oh, John's backstage here. Can I join from a Zoom meeting? Let me see.
I think so.
So John Ray is communicating with us in the chat. So we got to figure out a way if we can pipe him in from Zoom into our stage.
If he can get on the internet, all he has to do is put in the link to the StreamYard, and he should be able to pop in. If he's on his phone camera or something.
Yeah, it would be. I don't know if it's easy for you, John, but I'm going to post a link. This link, if you were to click on it from your computer, will take you straight to our backstage. It won't be Zoom, but it will take you to our backstage, and it should utilize your camera that you've got set up there. So I don't know if you want to try that or if it's, but yeah, if we can work. I'm trying to figure out how we would pipe the Zoom into our show. So we'll see if we can work out the logistics with John there. Very exciting to have John in the house. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully we saw most of the announcement. We were trying to scramble to find the feed, so we did find it kind of as you were midstream, but heard quite a bit of it. So
yeah, it's wonderful to have you with us, John. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, but it's great to have you with us.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll hang tight, you guys, while we're waiting to see if we can work this out. Robin, shoot, I know you're working. I was wondering if maybe
No. I'm off today. So it's all right.
I was thinking we can get if you want to call his assistant while we're doing that, maybe you can work something out with her and see if they can get the logistics worked out.
Sure.
Are you willing to try that?
Can you put
it's in the
phone number in the private chat?
Oh, in the private chat. Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat.
Yeah. Yep. And then that way I can give her a buzz.
Uno momento, por favor.
Because he can even join us from his phone if he knows how to.
Yeah. All right. It's in the private chat, the phone number.
Got it. Okay, I'll be back.
Okay. So anyways, yeah, people, I hope that you hope that you got to listen to that and that you're interested. It was interesting also to see there at the end that John Ray went, back and got some questions and talked about the Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann case, because and again the Peter Hackett case, and so all of those things we're super interested in. John was gracious enough to send us some documents on the Peter Hackett case as the lawsuit was moving forward towards investigating that. And it looks like John is backstage now. Perfect. I'm so excited to have John on with this. So we'll let him get his camera situated there. I'm watching your camera, John, if you want to give me a thumbs up when I can see you fully, and we'll see if you're ready to jump on with us. Perfect. And we'll just, right now we got the camera angle is not great. So I just was waiting for you to kind of adjust that up for you guys on your side. We're getting everything worked out here. Perfect. That's a much better angle. Little higher on the camera. Perfect. That'll be close. A little higher would be better, but
higher?
Yeah, if we can get almost perfect. That's about right. All right. John, you want to give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go on, or do you want to take a minute? All right, I'm going to try to add him here. You ready, John?
He's muted.
Yeah. All right, we're going to add him. John, you there?
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
I can. Hey, thank you for joining us. I appreciate that very much.
Sure.
Yeah. So where the hell is mainstream media and attention on this case? I mean, you've got this should be a major discussion, and it seems like it's relatively silent.
At the moment, it's silent. I hope it picks up some steam, as it should. I'm just here to put out what I know to be true and to ask for the action by the government, which is required. So that's the purpose of the press conference, and that's where I begin. So
it seems, it seems pretty clear in 2020, you gave them an opportunity, a small window of opportunity, when we had a Swedish national in town again after fleeing the country, it sounds like, right? And there was a small window of opportunity, and you're like, hey, look, this is a big moment. You need to seize this moment. If you're really going to do this whole leaving no stone unturned, now is the moment. And it just went ignored. Years go by. Now all of a sudden it's resurfacing in the Epstein files, and people from Sweden and UK and everybody's calling you to get information. And where the hell, where is the eyes on this? I'm just frustrated.
Well, what multiplies your point is that then Attorney General Bill Barr made two speeches, which we recorded at the press conference or played at the press conference. He made two speeches in which, in unequivocal terms, he said they are going to, the Attorney General's office department is going to go after these all these people who are the word he used was complicit. They're going to go after all these people who are complicit in anything dealing with Epstein. And he was very strong about it and said how proud he was of the department because they were doing this. And he went on and said that basically no stone will be unturned. Everybody who is complicit will be hunted down. And he made those two speeches. One of them before I went in March of 2020 to the Justice Department to get this case exposed and investigated, and then another speech after. So he said it before and after. And Lee, can you hold on this for 1 second? I don't want to.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it sounds like John's working something out on the backside there real quick. Just wanted to share with you guys that we have a great opportunity to talk to John Ray right after giving a public statement asking for opening an investigation. Okay, John, you're back, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm back. There are more media showing up here now. So I'm
Okay.
going to have to give them that attention. And so
Yeah.
you and I may break this up a little. Is that okay with you? Or
Yeah,
is that-
100%, John. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank
All
you
right,
so much.
So if I lose you or if I have to cut off, I will, and then I'll come back to you and we can continue. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was saying that before that Barr's speech was on both sides of my letter of complaint to him, and the letter where I said there's an emergency. You should get a hold of Barbara Enbaum as a person of interest right away. She's in New York for a short period of time. I knew that, and told him to move on it. They did nothing. The only thing they did is they contacted me and said, John, do you know the ages of any of these young girls who were involved? And I said, no, I don't know them. And it was an odd question because I had already answered that question in my first letter. I had said we did not know their ages, but that they were young. And that assistant U.S. attorney then told me that they were not going to investigate because they were only interested in if the girls were under 18.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah, if it's not a big scandal where it's underage girls, they weren't as interested in it.
And I listen. If the girls are underage, it's appalling. If the girls are not underage, it's also appalling.
Right.
But maybe less so. Still, I didn't know their ages, and I said they were very young. And we sent pictures, numerous pictures of some of these girls, to the U.S. attorney so they could see for themselves what I was saying.
Right.
And you mean to tell me that the United States Attorney General's office couldn't find another means to determine the ages of these girls, or to say to themselves, let's presume that some of them are under 18 and look into it to see what we can see?
Right.
They did none of that. They completely went 180 degrees opposite of Attorney General Barr. And there's got to be a reason for that. And that's why I held a press conference today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, if you need to take off at any moment because you've got media there, let me know.
They're here now. So
okay.
Can I get back to you, Lee?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, John, for giving me the time, and we can touch back later if you have time.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right.
Wow. Just amazing.
All right. So, I mean, good for John that media is showing up finally. You know, it took him a while to get there, but it sounds like somebody rushed some media over to talk to him in person. So maybe we'll get some eyes on that as well. It did sound pretty obvious that John intended to come back after he speaks with media. So that'll be interesting as well. I might take a moment to take a potty break myself, but we're going to stay live. We're going to do it live. We'll stay live. I'm going to mute myself and go off camera, go to the restroom real quick. We'll hopefully get another opportunity to talk to John Ray when he's done with media. I'm assuming that media is not going to be live streamed, but Robin, if you have any snoopers, or Amanda or any of our team have snoopers, can you see if there's
I'm keeping watch on all the different YouTube channels, the live news, local for New York, to see if any of them maybe Fox 5. That would be interesting to see if they show up, because I kept after them, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Good job. Maybe you're the reason the media showed up. That'd be badass.
I don't know about that, but wouldn't that be a kicker?
All right. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. So yeah, John is a class act all the way, guys. I mean, just tremendous. His compassion for these victims, his sense of justice, his pursuit of the truth is just phenomenal. He's just a phenomenal human being. So we can't thank you guys enough for joining us here today. I hope you stick with us. Please share this out. This is such an important issue. we're not here for the sensationalism of this. We want justice for these women who have been caught up in this scheme for decades. You know, so many of those young girls are now grown women, and they have had to deal with these horrors. And just I will put up the I think I'll put up the uh, advisory, because there could be potentially things that may be triggering for some people. But we'll, of course, try not to get too in depth about anything, but just saying. Um, so welcome on in to everyone who's just joining us. We were watching a live press conference with Attorney John Ray, and we were able to question him a little bit, and he took a break to talk to some media that's showing up at his office, and hopefully he'll be joining us again. So that's what's going on, folks.
I really enjoyed Robin. Did you notice John getting his back up and getting full of piss and vinegar when they were kind of challenging him about the names that he's been called, and they're like, look, for doing the right thing, if I'm going to get called names, then so be it. He's getting pissed off.
Yeah. Well, you can't intimidate this man. Like I don't think he knows the word fear. Like,
right. Yeah.
Or just doesn't care. He's like, I'm gonna stand up for what's right regardless. So he's a class act.
Yeah. So I'm excited that he took the time to join us and worked out the logistics. And it like I said, it did sound pretty clear that John intends to talk to us again, whether it's right after the press leave or whether it's later. But that was super cool for him to have taken that time to join us and talk to us personally. And then look at how gracious he was about like asking if it's okay if if media shows up and wants to put him on TV, is it okay that we end our conversation? Like, of course it's okay. Like we're small fish, go for it. But yeah, so that was,
the more eyes we get on this, the better. And let's face it, mainstream media can get more eyeballs on it, but hopefully we're helping in some way.
Yeah, he's just like I said, he's a class act. He respectful to people, and all he's trying to do is get eyeballs on it. And like I said, he's doing it pro bono. He's not getting paid for that. So he's doing it because it's the right thing to do, and he wants to get people's eyeballs on it and asking the right questions. And a lot of times, this is what we face in true crime as well. We get demonized for asking questions and trying to get the real answers. And somehow we're the ones that are questioned of our integrity for asking questions that oftentimes mainstream media don't ask. Now, I say this carefully because, maybe mainstream media is literally in his office right now getting some eyeballs on it. So we can't say they're completely ignoring it forever if they're actually right now interviewing John for something. But anyways, let's cross our fingers that the media gets the right attention on it. That'd be great.
Right. And reports it from the correct angle. Not putting some kind of a negative spin on this.
Right. Right. Or only being interested in it if the girls are under 18 instead of sex trafficking is sex trafficking, whether you're under 18 or over 18. Why does it have to be a little bit more salacious in order for you to pay attention to it?
Right. And the thing that people don't realize is sex trafficking, yes, there's that darker kind of element, but yet it is carried out today in ways that people may not understand, that can go on right under your nose and you never realize it.
Yeah. It was funny. I think what happened when he went muted for a minute is they must have been showing up, and his his assistant was like, you got people out here. kind of cool. I think you might have prompted something. You called the right people, and they're like, what the hell's going on? Like, first one that hung up on you might have hung up just be like, how the fuck are we missing this? Who knows?
Yeah, so I don't know. And then I had called back to Fox 5. I'm really curious to see which stations showed up. If it's Fox 5,
right. If it's
I
Fox,
contacted them like 3 different times, because I called twice and I emailed the link to our stream and everything. So Yeah, so that would be really cool. Any way we can help bring attention to this issue, more than willing to do it. So
Yeah, that was just that was a pretty cool. That was a pretty. I mean, and we were discombobulated. Like I had plenty of room to put our chat next to him on screen, but I didn't realize for the longest time, and I didn't have the banner. Like everything, we're not set up to be mobile and on the fly. Although part of me wants to fly my ass out to New York right now and install some cameras in his office and a proper backdrop, so he has a little bit more fancy of a setup.
know.
Like I'm ready to go out there and fix up his studio.
Well, hey, he probably would appreciate that. That'd be pretty darn cool. He probably would take you up on that, Lee.
I might offer it to him. Yeah, but I don't want to.
Well,
I
because
don't want to
he's got
insult.
the
I don't want to
Hackett
insult
thing.
him by suggesting it. But yeah,
No, but I mean, he could be doing live streams about the Hackett case when he has an
yeah,
update, and
yeah,
I mean,
for
there's a lot of
sure.
stuff he could we could kind of help him out there a little bit if we wanted.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yes. Well, is there any questions from the chat while we're sitting here waiting to see if John Ray is going to join us back? I didn't get enough sleep last night. I woke up early to try to get that link. I can't believe we
I
missed
know
it.
you
It was
were
a
up
Twitch
through
stream.
off and on throughout the night.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just hanging out. I want to know if anybody has any questions that we can talk about, or again, from our perspective
Mama,
yeah, go ahead.
Let me back up to Mama J's question.
Is there any way we can FOIA Epstein's last jail call that he made to his mother that night? I'd love to hear why it was important to cut his attorney visit short so she could talk to his mother. We can certainly try. The Epstein case is covered in national security. And so they haven't been releasing shit. And even by the way, even when they did release the quote unquote Epstein Files, the only way it became allowed was to allow somebody to redact out national security issues, which might be, by the way, in my jaded opinion, simply covering up the name of some high politician that would be a national embarrassment to admit that they had a relationship with Epstein and underage girls. And so national security might be hey, we need to not let it be known that somebody high up in our government was involved in this honeypot situation. So they did agree to only release things if they were allowed to redact things out. So right now that whole case is covered under a massive amount of Department of Justice oversight, and they're not letting things go. We can try to FOIA request, but like one is saying like 1% of the files have been released, and that was their. Yeah. And it's funny because that's kind of their concession. Like, look, we're releasing things, and it's like 1%, and yet look at how the 1% already starting to cause questions. So
right, and this is why we go after records in any of the cases, because even though it might seem small, there are some times when the smallest thing like this can spark something larger. And and you have to remember, folks, this goes back decades. So the amount of information that they have to sift through, I just wish they couldn't hide so much behind national security.
Yeah, right. I'm making a ticker to put across the bottom so people know what we're waiting for here. Hold on. Go ahead and keep talking or something if you can.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. So let's see. What's this? Sargentry says we could all try to pitch in for payment. It's so expensive. So we should cover those costs collectively. I'm not sure. Are you talking about like a GoFundMe, Sargentry? I'm not sure. Yeah, Mama J. You always have such great comments. Lee, national security, like how the Idaho 4 had something to do with national security. Yeah, the only way I can see Idaho 4 having to do with national security is, well, a couple different ways. If it does involve drug cartels, because of, all the different 3-letter agencies that were in the area on that one big old task force. I can never remember all the alphabet letters in it. It could potentially have something to do with that. Or if, as some of our panelists believe, JJ One of them that he potentially that Brian was involved with the feds. There could be things from that angle that are related. So, right, Amanda, right, you're absolutely right. Sex trafficking, there's that. So there's a lot of different angles that could be potentially national security. Although I do believe that there are some things that they just say national security because they don't want us to know, and that is wrong. We, as the American people, we're supposed to, have that truth and transparency, and I don't see that we're getting it from in a lot of cases. So
Yeah, and I feel like using common sense, we can use national security to avoid. I'm going to give an example, not an allegation, an example. If we were ever to have a U.S. president do something completely illegal, especially like involving an underage girl, for example, like that, national security would allow them to hide that from the public and never come out, never be held accountable whatsoever, because it would be a danger to the country to have a scandal of that level and your president be outed as a pedophile or something like that. So they could use national security tags to hide horrendous illegal behavior and hide illegal activity, making that person immune from any prosecution or inspection, because it's just an embarrassment, and that would be that would fall under the guise of national security. So,
and the Supreme Court has already granted that immunity to the office of the president.
Yeah,
they've already done that. So here we are. It doesn't matter. Apparently, I don't, and that should not be you because well, anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that part, but
it's funny because I almost hesitate to go down there, but I saw somebody write the word Moloch, and I don't know if they were talking about the I don't know if you remember the Bohemian Grove stuff from way back. It was released in some mainstream media that elites and powerful people would go to the Bohemian Grove in California.
They're still going.
And right, yes, I know it's an ongoing thing, but a lot of people think it's not true. It is true, and
it is true.
And because presidents and former presidents and stuff like that go to the Bohemian Grove for this big retreat in the forest kind of thing like that, it's all wrapped under national security. What happens there is a matter of national security. And again, somebody broke in, like Alex Jones back in the day, broke in and got video footage of, people doing a mock ceremony, sacrificing a human before a giant statue of Moloch in the forest, stuff like that. And it's all legitimate shit that happened. And even a senator, I can't remember what his name, confirmed it was true and said, I disrespect you for breaking into private property and getting that footage. It was like, well, how about you answer what the fuck you're doing out there, and why you've got politicians that are involved in, simulating human sacrifice in the forest to a statue. Like, no, I disrespect you for breaking into private property. Like, well, how about let's talk about that what happened there.
And the town that is right, where the Bohemian Grove is right outside of, those people, you talk about people who are scared to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, because they know what's going on. They know what happens out of that place. And I mean, you have everyone from celebrities to other world leaders to, that visit it. It's not just Americans who go there. So, and
the invitation was, the rumor was, Ronald Reagan attended the Bohemian Grove and was talked about becoming the next president before even, like, he was literally tapped at the Bohemian Grove as, oh, this is going to be our guy. We're going to put this guy in office, kind of thing. And there's a lot of allegations about that as well.
George Bush went there. I mean, it's if you ever get a chance, look up the conspiracy files from Colin Brown. He actually went out there and tried to get into the Grove, and he had some pretty wild experiences. They don't play around. There's cameras everywhere. There has to be, because as soon as you get close to that place, you get turned away real quick.
Yeah. I noticed we had, when John Ray was on with us, he was on one camera, and then it said John joined, another person named John joined backstage, and it says device not connected.
I wonder if they had two cameras on him.
I was wondering. I was thinking about kicking him from studio, but I just want to make sure that we don't make it hard for him to get back in if he wants to reconnect. But it wasn't the feed he was on, so.
Yep. So, JJ's here.
JJ's here. What?
He's in the chat. I just saw him.
Nice. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, just like Davos and Bilderberg. Yeah. He must not be able to join us on stream. If you could get us, if you can get on stream with us, maybe we should post the link in case he probably doesn't have the link. To be fair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
So I mean, copy. It's
he may be at work and can't really get on it. John, yeah. Oh, he's been here for a while, he said. So if you want to come up and you can, go ahead and join us. If you're at work or whatever and you can't, I understand that. But yeah, I mean this is big. I'm super curious. I keep looking on these other live streams around YouTube to see if something comes on about this. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're interested. I mean, I don't know how he disseminated his information, but like I said, I got a personal invite to it, and I'm assuming they probably sent out a media packet to the press as well, but they just weren't interested. I'm assuming. What made somebody interested now that they came in rushing in at the end of his talk with us, I don't know. But and again, I think maybe you might have kicked somebody into action. You called the right person, and they're like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean? What do you mean? What's going on?"
I don't know. I won't take credit unless Fox 5 shows up, because if they show up, then I know.
I called you.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward. And here's what's even more exciting too. I don't know if it's more exciting or equally exciting, because we don't really cover the Epstein case on our channel. We're more interested.
But people are super interested.
Yes. And like I said, I mean, we are covering Rex Heuermann and Lisk, and by direction or connection, I should say, Shannon Gilbert in that case, which John Ray is deeply embedded in the Shannon Gilbert thing. And so we are still working and hoping to have many conversations with John in the Lisk case and the Shannon Gilbert, Peter Hackett case, and all that, all those things.
Joe says he'll come up in a few minutes.
Excellent. That'd be great. What a day. This was not planned for at all. I mean, I was literally I was in bed last night at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, my local time. And I saw the email from John Ray's office, and I go days without checking my mail, sadly enough. And I just happened to check my mail, and I saw, I had an email from John Ray, and I'm like, oh, what? And then I was like, oh my God, that's like in a few hours. Like I got to find, and we worked hard to find the stream. We couldn't find the stream.
What if one's comment is true? I mean, what if Rex is named somewhere? What if he would be? Wouldn't that be wow?
That would be nuts. Oh wow, it could happen. You're absolutely right.
Or Spoda. I mean,
Spoda,
anybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of names that can appear in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do want to. I mean, his office is pretty small and cramped. I've been there. I do want to fly out there and put some studio lighting up for him, get him a backdrop, and fix that thing for him, because it would help a little bit too. But
yeah, because I mean, like I said, with the Peter Hackett stuff, I mean, he could be doing, a weekly live cast or something if he wanted. He's so good on camera, and he always looks so sharp.
Yeah, he's articulate. He speaks well. He doesn't get rattled, it seems. And so yeah. I'm not sure what this comment is about Kamala. I've been wondering about Kamala at this point. Who knows? But I don't know if ICE would be so against our rights, but not sure. I'm not sure if I understand the question enough to answer it, but I wanted to make sure you saw I did see it.
ICE is definitely against our rights.
It's funny, Amanda and I were, because it was, you and one on the East Coast were really late, and Amanda and I were firing back and forth because she was the first to find out on our team that John Ray had reached out to us, and we were working frantically last night trying to find the link to the show, and we couldn't get it. But thank you, Amanda, by the way, for the late night help and assist trying to get that worked out. And Amanda did have a really cool thumbnail, but by the time that I got her thumbnail, I already posted my thumbnail, and I didn't replace it. I didn't know how that would mess with the announcement. See, I told you I didn't get enough sleep last night.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, Mert. Damn it. I know. I agree. Yeah. But anyway.
I was a little bit nervous. I'm still nervous a little bit. John makes a big deal, out of the Baphomet statue. He's brought it up a lot. The demonics thing. They talked on that to one of the reporters in the room there about calling these people demonic or whatever. And sometimes I wonder, like, what does he think of our Devil's Advocates logo and all the demon type stuff? Is like, I just wonder,
but yeah. John understands theatrics a little bit, and he also is sharp enough to understand the actual purpose of your channel. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to keep coming on with you.
Right. I mean, is he just missing it, or it doesn't bug him because he knows what we're about? So hopefully it's the latter. He just understands what we're about, and
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, to be fair, I don't even think John would agree with all of our positions. I mean, he's pretty, I mean, John was one of the guys that kind of said something, along the lines of, most of the time the bad guys are the bad guys. Like, most of the time they are who you say they are. So I don't know that he even would lean in as much as we do in the presumption of innocence part, because he's like, yeah, most of the time they do have the right guy. They don't always get them the right way, but they usually have the right guy. It was kind of like his, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But so again, hopefully he can appreciate the areas where we might, maybe disagree on whether or not somebody's guilty or not. But certainly we've had great discussions with him on the Shannon Gilbert case. And this is the first time I talked to him about Epstein. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And it really just does highlight his sense of justice, though, that he, like you're saying, he's not getting any money for this. Right.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing a lot, and he's doing a lot of stuff for free and taking a lot of abuse. So it is what it is. That's kind of what we're doing in a way. We're not making money on this, or we're still negative, and we take a crap ton of abuse. So welcome to the club.
Yeah, that's very true.
Oh, somebody's coincidentally, my first and middle name is John Ray. That's cool.
That's cool. Were we discussing Epstein tonight? One wants to know.
I mean,
we could.
Yeah, I mean, I've got footage, right? We've got footage recorded through StreamYard.
You can play the press conference from John Ray.
We could do that, or we could just play some of the highlighted moments when we had the one-on-one discussion with him and kind of air some of that as a re-up. Yeah, so we'll repurpose some of this, I think, tonight for the live. I don't know how Logan feels about it. I don't know if Logan from Bronx Tales covers Epstein or is interested in that case. I can't remember. Did we talk about that with her?
Yeah, I think pretty much anything true crime she's interested in.
I'll email you the link here. It looks like JJ wants me to email the link, so hold on. Copy. Let's see. New mail to State of the Deep. Link.
Yes, for anyone who doesn't know our channel, we are not devil worshippers.
Captain Lee is one's boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on two platforms. So JJ, I sent you the link in email as well. So if you can grab that easier, that's available. By the way, did I acknowledge that we got super stickers during when John Ray was talking? Thank you, Mama J, for the super sticker during that, and another one there for as well. So I did see those. I don't know if we highlighted those because John, I think, was talking at the time, and I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, and I was
thank-
on the
thank you.
phone, so I didn't even see them come in. Sorry about
Yeah,
that, guys.
no,
I was on the
yeah.
telly.
Hemisphere. It'd be cool to hear other cases not named Idaho 4. Yeah. So haven't heard much from the Long Island serial killer case. Yeah.
Oh, we got tons we could talk about.
Lots of
days.
stuff. Yeah. Mostly the peripheral stuff, the stuff that they're not going to cover at trial because they're not going to get into the police corruption, the cover up of Rex Heuermann over the decades and how he might have been involved with law enforcement. I don't think any of that's going to come up at trial. It should, but I doubt any of it's going to come up at trial. But
well, that doesn't mean we can't cover it.
that's a fact. And that we just got to find people that are interested in that story because we've talked about it a lot and it doesn't seem to pique people's interest. Like, how are you not like
get it?
The documentaries have been phenomenal on it.
I know.
Yeah, so I don't understand why it hasn't caught more attention.
I still haven't given up complete hope that we could
Right.
talk with Josh Zeman. I still have not given. I mean, that would just be. He's such an interesting guy, and just everything that he has researched must just be phenomenal.
What's
And
this
his
comment mean?
documentary.
That's why I joined. I thought that's what you were about, Robin. I don't know which did I miss a comment earlier? I'm trying to figure out what they were. Somebody joined because they were wanting Robin to talk
The
about something.
Canadian cat lady. I don't know what that means. Yeah. No, we're not about. It's a play on words.
It's chilly in my room. Holy quick. I thought JJ was joining us, but he hasn't accepted that link. So we'll see what happens with that. I did tell him that was there. Somebody's here from Delphi. This Delphi story, we covered Delphi. I got in late to Delphi after the conviction of Richard Allen, but during the appeal. So when the appeal was filed, I realized that case wasn't over like I thought it was. So I was like, okay, I'm all in. If we're gonna do the appeal, let's do it.
Yep. That's just turns my stomach.
Yeah.
What they did to that man.
And there are people that still are super angry at me. Like, I can't believe you're defending that pedophile piece of shit murderer. And I'm like, well, the problem is when you read the documents, I'm not sure they got the right guy. I know you think they got the right guy, but that's the thing. A lot of people who are blind, they just accept the answer and they don't really question it that
Here
much.
he comes.
What's up, dude?
What's up?
Hey.
How you guys doing?
Good.
All right, how are you?
I'm good. I was up late last night. I had that
Oh, boy.
coffee on stream when I jumped on last night, and I couldn't fall asleep last night, so I slept in today, which I rarely ever do.
So no
Well,
work
it's good
today
for
for
us
you?
that you did.
No work today. I have the Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and I have a gig tomorrow night, so just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
did you catch some of the John Ray stuff then? You were here watching?
Yeah, what time did it start?
It was supposed to start at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we were a good 15 minutes late joining. I don't know if he started on time or not, but where did we get the link, Robin? Where'd you find the Twitch link?
You found it and gave it to me, so they sent it to you. They either texted or emailed.
Oh, that's right. They sent it, I think. Did they send it?
Yeah, they sent it.
I thought I got it in chat from somebody, but I got it from somebody.
No. Because
Yeah,
I didn't know it was going to be on Twitch.
I caught most of it. I got on at like 9:15 or so. So I caught most of the stream.
Yeah. Well, it's very cool.
It's interesting, right? I mean, there's the forward-facing aspects of the Epstein files and all that. And then there's sort of the backdoor stuff like the Whitney Webb stuff and the tentacles of it. How far it reaches, which is really interesting because now you're going to see, and I've already seen it, a lot of other people that would never be associated with this type of thing, we're going to start hearing about stuff because.
Here's John again.
Yeah, John Ray's backstage again, so we'll bring him up here in a second. Okay, are you ready, John? You ready to go on? I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll bring him up here on stage. Give him a second here. All right, let's bring him up. Hey, John, welcome back.
Hey, Lee, how you doing?
Good. I've got another one of my regular panelists, Joe from State of the Deep, and my associate producer on with us. I hope you don't mind sharing a little bit of screen thing, but who showed up in the media? We made some phone calls. I hope that we got to shake some of that loose too, but who showed up for you?
Well, we had several channels here, and not all of them by any means. And there was a development here in Suffolk County, Long Island, where a police officer was killed, and today the person who killed her was arraigned. So we lost a lot of media to the arraignment. That happens.
Oh yeah.
These kind of things, but we had some media come, so it was good.
Was that I think that was that in your press release where you said you had moved the press release because of a funeral or something like that? For
that's exactly what we did. We moved the press conference from 2 days ago to today because that funeral was taking place yesterday. So
gotcha.
In deference to that, we moved this to today, but unbeknownst to any of the media, the killer of that cop was arraigned. Suddenly, the district attorney arraigned him today because he had a broken leg from the homicide, and
oh wow,
they just let him out of the hospital this morning to be arraigned. So it was sprung upon the media, and I understand that
yeah,
those
right.
kinds of stories are more immediate.
Yeah.
So
right.
Well, I'm glad that people did, more people showed up and got more eyes on it, and I'm really super. We were just talking about what a class act you are to coming back for a small YouTube channel and saying, "Hey, is it okay if I take a break for the media here and come back to you?" And I was like, "Well, like I wouldn't even. You just go." But you're a class act, and I've always appreciated the way that you handle yourself and I'm glad that people are asking questions, and it's again a pleasure to have you on with us as well.
Thank you, Lee. That's nice. It's kind of, this case is more important than it first meets the eye.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I still have questions. Would you mind me asking a question? I don't know if we want to talk about it now or talk Epstein first, but I'm curious about the Peter Hackett case. I've been watching the docket to try to see where we're at on that, and I'm confused about whether or not they're just kind of carte blanche trying to shut down, your request to turn over files and stuff like that. Can you, do you want to talk about that now, or you want to save that for another time because of the Epstein stuff?
It's your show. You tell me, and I'll talk. Right.
I'd like to hear a little bit of an update on the Peter Hackett case if you're willing to, and we'll come back a little bit if you got some time to talk about Epstein, because that's a big deal. I don't want to take a bunch of your time, but I would like an update if you can give us some.
I can. Our lawsuit against Dr. Peter Hackett for being responsible for the death of Shannon Gilbert is pending and on the trial calendar, but in order to go to trial, one of the things that I realized I could use would be if I had the police file on the investigation of Shannon Gilbert. And so, because the police department's commissioner and head police chief held a press conference and announced at a press conference that Shannon Gilbert died of a tragic accident, that was their phrase, I said, well, it's no longer a criminal case since they agree it's accidental. And so I subpoenaed their file saying it's not criminal. I'm entitled to the file under law. Again, the police, like they did with the tapes, which I eventually acquired, the 911 tapes of Shannon Gilbert. Again, the police department put in opposition to my subpoena of the records. I subpoenaed the records.
Right.
the judge signed the subpoena, so he agreed I could have them. And then the county put a motion in, the police department, that is, a motion saying that the subpoena need be quashed because they claimed it was still an open, active, ongoing criminal investigation that was going on. How could that be if they've concluded that it's a tragic accident? So I oppose that, and that motion and the opposition are pending in front of the court, and we're waiting for that decision. That brings it up to date.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I guess where I'm going with that is like, if you have trouble getting traction on that, I mean, what is the likelihood Pam Bondi is going to respond to an Epstein press, right? Because I mean, you're having pushback on a simple. You just said it was an accident, so how you and they're still not. We're not going to give you a shit. Like, I mean, at what point can we make any progress? Like, do you have hopes that this attention, getting it out there, saying, hey, Bill Barr dropped the ball on this, and now I'm asking Pam Bondi to look into it. Is there hope that you think that it'll get enough traction that they'll actually be forced to respond in some way?
Well, that's why I called the press conference and wrote a letter to Bondi, to Miss Bondi, is to get them to wake up and do the right thing here in a very serious situation involving Jeffrey Epstein and involving New York elites and involving the elites of Sweden and Scandinavia. So that's why I'm here today, is to try to activate an urge on their part to get involved, to do the right thing and investigate. I'm asking Bondi to investigate why the Justice Department, the U.S. attorneys, did not investigate and refused to investigate the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and the very leading socialite of Sweden, Barbro Enbom.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of my letter today, and the purpose of the press conference is to bring that forth and say, hey, why wasn't this looked at by Barr when he should have looked at it? And I'll explain that more in a moment. But yeah, that's an essential purpose of this press conference. So I was the one who revealed the information to the U.S. attorney for them to investigate this matter, and it was ignored.
I got a million questions. I do want to give a chance for JJ or Robin to ask you a question too, because otherwise I'll dominate this entire conversation between the two of us. JJ, do you have an immediate question? Because I do have a question. I can get him to bridge over to another case. But do you have a question off the top of your head?
I have more of a broad kind of thing, but I don't know if you want to get into that now or not.
Go ahead, fire away. See what happens.
Well, hi, John. How you doing?
Good.
Having done research on the Epstein case, I don't know if you're familiar with the Whitney Webb books that she wrote. She wrote a 2-volume series about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and she's an independent researcher. That there's been a long-standing connection between the financial elites and the U.S. intelligence and other intelligence agencies, right? The banking industry and global, and you mentioned Sweden. And it seems like that would be a thread that the powerful people, the money people, politicians, etc., would not want to pull on, or they wouldn't want the public to pull on that, because then it opens up a whole other level of inquiry. Did you have any thoughts about that? Yes,
I did not know these books you've referred to, because I'm not a specialist in Epstein. I'm involved, you might say, coincidentally, even though, I'm sort of a high-profile guy. I've been in other cases over the course of years that were high-profile, but this was strictly coincidence. And so I don't really know all those details that you've mentioned, but your point is well taken. These people that are involved in Sweden with Epstein, these are not ordinary people. These are the power elite of Europe and even of America. who are involved directly with Epstein and directly with providing Epstein with girls. So I think possibly the flow of girls from Sweden to Epstein is greater than from any other source that he had. When you look at the number of years and the number of girls who were introduced to him through a system that was set up by one of these people from Sweden, one of these elite from Sweden named Barbro Enbom. So, yeah, I mean, look, the connections to all these power elite are already evident in the Epstein files, but there's far more than what you see in the Epstein files, at least as far as I can tell, in the connections with Sweden and with the Swedish elite. You kind of have to know what happened, how I came across all of this to understand what I just said. But, there are people who are involved who are the heads of CEOs of huge companies like Pfizer and I can't think of all the names, but there are famous, extremely wealthy men who are involved. Worldwide scale wealthy men from Sweden who are involved. There are people who are connected to the Swedish nobility and to Swedish families that were connected to the old nobility.
Mm-hmm.
There's the royal family itself connected to Epstein directly through the princess, and
Andrew, Prince
on and
Andrew.
on. There are many others as well.
Well,
Did you?
can I just follow up with one thing, Dean?
Yeah.
One of the narratives that's associated with the Epstein case and the files and what have you is that all these powerful people, a lot of what Epstein was involved with was connecting people. He was like a sort of a hub, a guy who would, these elite people who can't go out in public and do a lot of the things and engage in the lifestyles that they engage in. And he was a guy who would facilitate that for people. And through that, there would be a lot of financial dealings done. Now, of course, there's the threat of the blackmail aspect of it, right? The powerful people, if you get inside information about them and their proclivities, then you would have leverage when it came to like high level financial dealings and political dealings. But recently, I know that thread of access, he provided people with access to other powerful people, and these parties and these type of events he would have with underage girls and women from other countries was a way that he would use that to gain access to people with a lot of big financial connections.
That's how it appears that's how Epstein made his way up through society from relatively modest beginning.
Right.
That's what, as a parent, what's true is different than, that's not necessarily the same as what is apparent. There may have been other means by which he made his money, which there are several people who are on that level that he was on who cannot explain how their money got there or won't explain it, and nobody else can either. How did they get there from modest beginnings? It's very hard to know. And so that's the case with Epstein. Surely you can see that many donations are made in huge quantities and relatively large quantities of money to organizations that he was connected with. Or shall I say, they were all intertwined one with another, and the money flowed very, very generously to organizations, for example, and then the money accordingly flowed back to Epstein. How they arranged these payments and what they were for and so forth. It's hard to know. I guess you have to be one of the investigators forensically to understand the money trails that have to exist. So, I mean, extortion could be one, but I mean, where's the evidence that there was actual extortion, outright extortion? I will expose you for having sex with one of my girls, and I'll let your wife know and your kids if you don't do what I say. I don't. That's the kind of thing that's extortive, and I don't know that I've ever heard that kind of evidence in this case.
I feel like,
if anything, is kind of collusive.
well, and to be fair, and I know you said you weren't familiar with Whitney Webb's book, but there seemed to be a long documented thing of him running, like you said, you dropped the word, the honeypot idea, that he would have a mansion, he would bring people in, he would arrange trysts with the underage girls at his mansion, and then allegedly record those interactions with high-level politicians and people, and they'd basically use it as blackmail to own your government, kind of thing. And people have tried to hint that Epstein's connected with Israeli intelligence and owns the U.S. government through his honeypot organization, that he was providing underage girls to everybody in government. So I don't know that it can be proven. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. So I'll ask it quick, but I want to get back to maybe if you want to re-summarize how you became aware that your name surfaced again in the Epstein files, and how that happened. Do you have any feelings at all about Charlie Kirk's assassination and his pressuring for the Epstein files to be released in the first place, that was happening just before his assassination? Do you have any feelings that, or anything you're comfortable in commenting, whether you think there's any connection to all the attention on the Epstein files, why Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
I really don't know. I must be honest with you. I'm not familiar with it.
Fair enough.
I haven't been a part of that.
Yeah, fair enough. So if you're willing, could you reiterate for us, if you're willing, I don't know if you have time to do so, the again, how you became aware that this kind of resurfaced and your name started showing up, and then you got contacted from people in Sweden and UK, whatever other places of Europe, and just how it kind of came to surface again for us.
Oh, okay, sure. As I said, it was coincidental, my involvement. I came to know Barbara Enbaum in New York and Stockholm because my partner is a Swedish opera singer, and she knows, a good part of Swedish society, both in New York and in Sweden. She was the president of Sphere, a group of women that are very powerful in New York. So we knew Barbara Enbaum. That's how I knew her. And the connection starts and ends there. I mean, she was somebody I didn't really like very much. I didn't really know her well, but I knew her, and I knew her friends. So what happens is Barbara sets up two organizations that one of them is called SALSS, Swedish American Life Science Summit, and also known as SALS. And she sets this up in around 2003. It's a supposedly not-for-profit organization, but it's really just Barbara in disguise. It's her alter ego. She then also sets up a group called Barbara's Best and Brightest, BBB, as she called it. And this is a group that, this is an organization that supposedly promotes the best interests of Swedish women. But and again, that's just an alter ego of Barbara. I knew of both of those organizations, and it never made any sense to me that they existed. For example, this SALS organization was supposed to be something to promote biochemistry and life science, whatever life science means. And it made no sense that Barbara had any involvement with that at all. And then, of course, it turns out it's really just kind of a front for what Barbara was doing. So anyway, she sets up these organizations, and she holds these summits, as she calls them, which are nothing more than grand dinners. And at them, she would have various musicians perform for the guests. Now, the guests were very wealthy CEOs of Sweden and of international, import from all over the world, including America. And she requested that my partner, who was a renowned opera singer in Europe, sing at these functions. So she did. My partner did. She sang there, and that's how I ended up being there to come and see her sing. And when I went to one of these summits, the composition of the gang that was there were a large gaggle of men, older men, who were in their 50s and up, and some of them very old and very wealthy. And concomitantly, there were all of these young, very lovely Swedish girls who were there, and dressed alluringly. And it just struck me as rather striking, passing odd, passing strange that this group, it made no sense. Why are they there? What do these girls have to do with this? Something was incongruous to me.
Yeah.
But I not my business. I didn't think anything of it and left it off. However, in 2002, she named the Man of the Year for, I think it's for the BBB. She named the Man of the Year Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't know who the guy was. I had no idea. But apparently he would show up in several years of these summits. He would be there and he would donate. We came to learn that he donated about $1.5 million over the course of years to Barbara's organizations. Mind you, these organizations, the only real active agent of these organizations was Barbara herself, who invented these organizations. So where did the money go? I mean, you can figure that out. All right.
Yeah.
So, and there were other people who donated as well, and organizations who donated. Now, what she did then is she would take these BBB girls that she supposedly recruited from the School of Economics located in Stockholm, a place where she claimed she went to school and graduated. And she would recruit these girls and claim that they had something to do with bioscience. I have no idea what that connection was. But anyway, she would recruit them and claim that she would find them jobs in corporate America through her organization. And she would name a Woman of the Year who would be, involved in this organization, and this would be revealed at the summits. What then really developed was something quite different than what I've just explained. And I didn't know any of this until the Epstein scandals broke in America. And that was that these girls were being provided repeatedly to association with Jeffrey Epstein at his apartments in New York, at his apartment in Paris, and other places. And they were asked to dress in certain ways and to behave in certain ways for him. So that emerged. And as well as I said, I knew the people who knew her. So I would hear firsthand, secondhand, various things that would go on with her. And it became obvious that what she was doing was creating a honeypot for Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And so there's one woman, for example, who was interviewed who said, was one of the girls I'm talking about, quote, "We were asked to dress in a dress and high heels while Epstein was in sweatpants at his leather room in Paris, where some of them were actually required to dress up as little schoolgirls and serve him tea."
Oh, wow.
All right. And champagne was served to them by him. So you can see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well, comes around 2020 and the Epstein scandals have broken. Epstein's I think he's been arrested by then. And
the first or the second time, because he got arrested twice for trafficking women. I'm trying to get the time. Do you remember if he had been arrested once before and kind of got off on it with the hand slap, and then again a second time before he killed himself? I guess.
He gets convicted of sexual abuse of a 14-year-old girl in 2008. He's convicted. So he is a sex offender officially as of 2008. Now, he originally was charged, I believe, with raping her.
Mhm.
But, with his lawyer's work, he got it knocked down. But he still ended up as a sex offender. So here's Barbara Wenbaum still using him and getting money through him after he is already now a registered sex offender in the States, the United States. And she's still associating with him and bringing these girls to him.
Yeah.
So that, who would do that? Some of the people you've read about who've been involved, who were connected with Barbara as well, by the way, were bringing their children around this guy when they knew he was a sex offender with little girls. You can tell the corruption, on the level of corruption that exists on the elite level in those regards. Try to find a moral person amongst them. It's not easy.
Right. And there was just to kind of tie onto that, there was a lot of talk that Bill Gates' wife freaked out essentially when she found out Bill Gates went to visit Epstein after he had been convicted the first time of the child molestation or child rape, whatever. And she was like, well, why are you hanging out with this guy? Like he's a creep, and well, it's just business, it's just, but it's amazing how many people have business association with Jeffrey Epstein, and now all of a sudden are embarrassed and want to hide any association they had with him because, as you say, everybody knew what he was and what he was doing, but yet everybody seems to call him a good friend, and it's surprising.
Well, can't you see then that the reality is different than that the connections were with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein is the, he's the symbol of what was going on. But in reality, when you say that these people were associated with Jeffrey Epstein, what you mean is, and you can't avoid what you mean, in fact, what you mean is that they're associated with sexual, illicit, foul, filthy, corrupt behavior. And Jeffrey Epstein happens to provide that. So they're associated with him. But in reality, all of these people are, why do you think they're all connected with one another? Not because they all love Jeffrey Epstein, but because they all love the corrupt, perverted sex. And that's
the lifestyle.
And unrestrained, perverted sex. That's what connects them. That's what their commonality is. And that's what we, at least on the face of it, we have laws that say that's a crime. It's not a crime to associate with Epstein. It's a crime to associate with what he represents and what he provides. So all of these people, from the football owner, NFL football owner, and you get all the power elite from all different walks of life, right? People who are CEOs in these companies, people who are billionaires and nobody can really explain why and how, people who are ambassadors, diplomats in these various nations, people who are politicians, professors and prominent professors in prominent colleges. Why are they all finding one another and in this great, joyous, friendly way with one another? Is it because that they all have something in common? Why, of course, that's what it is. And what is it that they have in common? Money, right? Time, which the money buys, and sex. And you put them together and you have the perversion that spreads across the entire power elite. That's what you have going on here. And that's what I'm trying to expose with respect to Sweden.
Yeah. Can
I
ask you real quick? I want to share something real quick on screen. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but you'll be familiar with the letter. I was going to share screen, this right here. This was a letter. Oops, add it to screen. This was a letter that I think, well, the part of my question is it's heavily redacted, but this was your letter from March 9th, 2020. It looks like this was to the U.S. Attorney's Office, talking about some of the stuff that we've been talking about this opportunity they have and the BBB you're talking about down here. Can you just clarify for us, because we read this letter before you came on. Can you unredact some of these names for us? Because it seems like you've talked about the individuals that are redacted in here. Is there any part that you're allowed to kind of share with us that may be black boxed right now to put the names in those blanks for us?
The only one is Barbara Wenbaum that I unredact. The other ones I can't.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It seemed to me that at least one of those names was one that it didn't need to be redacted anymore. I just was curious about that because I saw that it's got good history about the timing of when you informed the Attorney General's office. And I don't know that he ever, that's the question. Like, did they see it? Did they try to, act like they never saw it? But again, when you surface and your name's mentioned, I think what I read was when your name shows up in the Epstein files, there's talk of this particular Swedish incident and stuff like that as well. I think, is that what I gather as well?
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. And that's kind of what's drawn some international attention to this now, is they're kind of like, well, hey, this John Ray guy has talked about this and talked about it a long time ago, and nobody did anything about it in the US, and why not? So,
well, what happened was I write this letter on March 9th, 2020 to the United States Attorney to do something about this Epstein-Enbaum connection. And I did that because, as I said, I learned what you've heard me say, and I was able to put the pieces together and say, wait a minute, there's a real problem here. So I went forward and wrote about it. You'll notice I didn't make it public. It wasn't for media purposes. And I simply saying, investigate this. I'm not the investigator. You should be. Go investigate. Yeah. But there's plenty here for you to investigate. And that's what I did in March. So later on, to skip ahead, after I wrote another letter by email to them, and they called me and they kind of shut down the investigation before it started. That was the end of it. It was no more within my purview, and I didn't pursue it. I didn't call press conferences. I did nothing until the Epstein files were just recently, millions of pages of documents were released by the U.S. Attorney's Office to the public. And I didn't read them. I was not interested in them. But I get a call from at least 2 Swedish media people who saw my name in the papers. And they called me and say, you're in that, your name several times in the Epstein files. I was first.
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't know any of these people personally, except for Bob Randbaum. And then it came about that actually I was in there because I'm the only one apparently who is in the Epstein files several times, because I came to them to report a wrong and tell them to do something about it, as opposed to being involved in it.
Yeah. If that's the way to appear in the files, that's how you want to appear in the files.
Right. And so what happened is right away, some of the people who disliked me tried to turn it into something, malaise, something.
Of course.
But it just isn't there. So now I'm interviewed by the Swedish media on TV and in the newspapers, and it has already become a major scandal in Sweden. There was a scandal before my name was involved, but the scandal grew significantly recently, and in the last week or two, and it's become a major issue for the Swedes as well as for many European countries, and for the nobility that stretches across all those countries. So here I am, and I'm saying, wait a minute, I think if this is all going to be reactivated, let me write to Attorney General Pam Bondi, and say, why don't you start investigating what wasn't done? Yeah. And that's what my letter does, because we have Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, making a speech several weeks before I write my first letter in 2026, making a speech, in 2020, And Bill Barr is making a speech in which he says he's going to go after anybody who's complicit. And we have that speech, so we're going to play it for you right now.
Yeah, great. I'd love to see that again. Yeah.
Oh, I was livid, obviously. I believe very strongly in that case, and I was very proud of the work done by the department, the Southern District, on that case. And as you will recall, after he committed suicide, I said that I was confident that we would continue to pursue this case vigorously and pursue anyone who's complicit in it. And so I'm very happy that we were able to get Ms. Maxwell.
If there are other co-conspirators, are you coming for them?
If they've been involved, if they've been complicit.
He almost kind of waffles there with that.
He mentions he's very proud of his department. I really am always kind of turned off by politicians who are very proud of anything. I mean,
right.
The job was done. It should have been done.
Right.
There's an obligation here, and I really don't care that he's proud. I am more interested in what happened.
Right.
And so, he makes a similar speech again after several months after I write that letter. And in the second speech, do we have it?
Oh yeah, I liked that one. Yeah.
Hold on, we'll give it to you.
And while we're waiting, I want to be respectful of your time, John, and you've already given us a bunch. What I'd like to do after we watch this is maybe give Robin and JJ another opportunity to ask a question, and then let you have a parting thought if you want, of something you want the message or what you want us to do as the public to stay vigilant on this. But yeah, let's watch this clip that you got.
All right, sure. Here we go.
Before I begin, I'd like to briefly address news from the secure this prisoner. We are now learning of serious irregularities that
Speed that up.
Buffering.
in the Office of Inspector General.
Got some internet connection there issues or something.
Are doing just that.
Sorry, we can't get it. It's okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's freezing up quite a bit there.
All right, that's fine. So anyway,
we did get it a little earlier on our recording. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So here we have the essential problem here is that this guy claims that the U.S. Attorney's office is going to hunt down everybody who's complicit. Here we have somebody that's not only complicit, but complicit on a scale nobody else was. A huge number of Swedish women brought to him by Barbara Wenbaum over the course of years. And when I go to them and say, look, this woman is coming to New York, I learned that from one of the Swedish women living over on Park Avenue, that Barbara will be in New York. And I'm saying, she's a person of interest. Why don't you, go get her and confront her with this. And the only answer I got was a young attorney general calls me, an assistant, and says, do you know their ages? And I said, no, I don't, but they're young. And I sent them pictures that we had of these girls, and you could see they were young, and they said, okay, well, we're not going to investigate and with where we don't know that there's anybody under 18. Well, you mean to say that the United States Attorney's Office couldn't find that out by themselves, or try to, or make an effort, for example, to confront this person of interest and find out what was really going on? They deliberately avoided doing anything about this whole Swedish connection. And it was certainly a connection with the royal family. It was Barbara who was the matchmaker for the prince and Sophia, his now wife. Barbara put them together. And these are royalty we're talking about here. And she was also a friend of Epstein's. So they couldn't look into this, but they take swaths of these girls and have them dress up in scanty clothing and have them service Epstein and by serving him tea dressed up as schoolgirls in his leather room in Paris.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all his other type of things, and pouring him into New York, them into New York, and to his apartment in New York, and God knows where else, and for years. And this is not a minor thing. It's a major thing, and they refuse to look at it.
Right.
That's what's wrong. So I said, look, I'll bring it forward and say, hey, Attorney General Bundy, why don't you investigate this? Because Barr was the one who made the promise to do what they willfully failed to do. So that needs to be looked into.
It's amazing, and I'm so proud of the fact that you are fearless to get out there and call it what it is and try to get attention to it. And I think I'm hopeful that we can also kind of help out in some way peripherally from the side here as well. I want to give Robin and JJ a chance to ask a question or so real quick. I don't want to take a bunch of your time. I know Robin also is a big Lisk Long Island serial killer case follower and knew all about you and told me all about you. And I think she's the one that actually pushed me to reach out to you in the first place and said, you ought to see if John Ray will talk to you. So Robin, did you want to ask any questions, of John Ray while you got him?
I do, John. It's wonderful to be here with you, and it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for giving your time to us today.
Good to hear
My
you.
question is this, Barbara Embaum, do you think that she was, it sounds to me like what you're saying is she is a central hub sort of for Europe and other potential nations, kind of funneling maybe not only Swedish girls and women, but potentially from around the globe?
I'm not sure about around the globe, Robin. I'm not sure of that. There are girls who were named as girl of the woman of the year, whatever title she made up. But some of them were not Swedes. Their names were not. They might have, maybe they lived in Sweden or they went to school there, but they weren't Swedes. And so that's possible. I don't know. I mean, Sophia came. She was a waitress at Serafina restaurant in New York City when she was introduced by Barbara to the prince. So it could be, there could be an international source of women, but I don't know that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Did you have any quick question for him that you wanted to ask on the Peter Hackett stuff or Shannon Gilbert or?
I'm just really curious. Do you get the sense that Dr. Hackett was directly involved with Shannon Gilbert's death, just based on everything that you know?
The evidence that we have led us to sue him to say that he is responsible for her death, and that evidence has grown instead of shrunk. So that's where we are.
Oh my!
It's interesting. I want to real quick. I kind of thought, and you just said something a little differently that kind of took me as a surprise. I thought mostly the Hackett thing was basically he was complicit in kind of hampering the investigation into Shannon Gilbert. Do you more believe now that he was more than just misdirecting them, but may have been involved?
He's involved. That's our lawsuit, and his misdirectioning. It's not as strong an issue in the case. I mean, he did do things that people who are guilty would do. For example, he called the Ellenville Police Department to find out what they knew. The Ellenville is where she came from. That's where her mother lived. He called, that was in upstate New York. He called the Jersey City missing persons police detective. And his name was Cesar Camacho, and he did the same thing. He told Camacho he ran a home for wayward girls and that he was checking to find out what happened to Shannon. He was basically trying to find out what they knew. But the one thing he did that was kind of like Sherlock Holmes with the dog didn't bark kind of a case was he never he who was the former police surgeon of Suffolk County Police, he never called the Suffolk County Police Department to see what was going on there because he already knew.
Right.
And that, so he acted like in the proverb, the Psalm, as well as I think it was quoted in Roman satire, ancient Roman satire, and it's the guilty flee where none pursue. And
Yeah.
that's what you have there when people start doing what he did. He starts overplaying his hand.
Yeah, we all on this channel are super interested in seeing that kind of stuff play out. So we're simultaneously kind of watching Rex Heuermann's case, but also Shannon Gilbert's to see if we can get closure after all this time on the mystery of Shannon Gilbert's disappearance that night and murder. And so I'm watching you. I'm watching you with the anticipation and hoping that you'll finally break that case. JJ, do you have any questions for John?
Yeah, the one thing that kept popping into my head while you were speaking earlier, John, was Barr. His father was the one who hired Epstein at the Dalton School, and yeah, it was his father who had been CIA. I don't know if I can't recall off the top of my head if the father or Bill Barr were CIA prior, but Epstein had no resume to be hired at an elite private school in New York as a teacher, and it was Barr's father that hired him and helped him. I believe he may have been the one that helped him get his job at Bear Stearns in New York, which again he was not qualified for.
Right.
And that's how he made a lot of the money connections with powerful people, was because he was really good with moving money around and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's Whitney Webb goes really deep in her 2-volume series. It's called One Nation Under Blackmail. She goes all the way back to of how the U.S. intelligence got connected with the mafia, all that far back. And then she extrapolates. It's very dense. Her books are very, very dense, but they're a really good resource because she connects a lot of the dots.
Well, that's interesting because I can tell you a little bit about Dalton School, and if you're not in the circle of people who send their kids to Dalton School, you will have no idea of what's really going on. And that is there's a circuit of very elite schools. Dalton School is one of them. There's several of them, all dotted around New York City and Westchester County, and at one time in Garden City. And the power elite send their children. And sometimes they're dictators from South America who send their kids, but they're all connected with another at the Dalton School. I myself was, as a young man, I was a history teacher at St. Paul's in Garden City. And it was one of the schools that was connected to these others. And I was the wrestling coach there. And so my wrestling team wrestled Dalton. So I got to go to see Dalton just, for that day when we wrestled. But I got to know some of the circuits, and the Kennedy children, for example. One of them was a wrestler, by the way. And I was a coach then. So I got to know a little bit about the power elite through that connection. And I was just a poor, I made $12,800 a year, and I lived in the building back then in the day. But they're very tightly woven, connected people. You don't get into those schools. You don't get your kids into those schools without having these enormously complex, woven together relationships and the money to back it up. And so, for him to become a teacher at that school, it was like I was nobody. I had no, working class Irish community I came from. So it could be that he got there, without any skills or background in that sort of thing. But he had the connections, and it's the connections that are really everything in those schools. Everything.
Well, John, I grew up wrestling in New Jersey. I wrestled for many years. So if you were a wrestler and a wrestling coach, you're all right with me.
What team? What team did you wrestle for?
I grew up in Monmouth County,
Oh, Monmouth.
and I wrestled for Manalapan High School.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll be surprised to know that I lived for a year in New Jersey in Saddle Brook, and I was a wrestling coach there, and I was also a wrestling official. So I did a lot of. I might have refereed your games.
Well,
Your match, your wrestling match.
Well, I wrestled under the great John Sachi, who went on to become the head coach of Rutgers Wrestling.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was a big part of my life.
What was your weight class?
In senior year, I wrestled 135, and in college, I wrestled 142.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Competitive.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome.
I actually coached wrestling for a few years. I actually worked at a camp with the legendary coach from Lehigh, Thad Turner, and I with many coaches, Al Bevilacqua from Long Island, one of the great coaches. I worked with him at Hofstra in the wrestling camp there. So I kind of, I know the wrestling circle.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to hear that. It's interesting. The wrestling community is pretty unique. So you usually know some common people.
Yeah. True.
Well, John, I want to say again, I thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And by the way, Robin and I were talking about, you got full of piss and vinegar there for at the end when you were asked a question and you're kind of like, well, this is just the right thing to do. Like, I don't get paid money for this. This is just, and we were like, yeah, go get him, John. You're like, you're doing it for the right reasons. We love that you do pro bono work and you take this on because it's just the right thing to do. Do you have anything you want to share with us on the parting things, or things that we can do to help you out, or the public can do to help you out? How do we put eyes on this, and what can we do for you?
Only thing you can do is what you're doing, I guess. And that's not only to bring these things to the public, but expand your base. And most importantly, urge people to actively pursue these things, to support the work, for example, that I'm doing. I don't mean financially, but I just mean morally. Support it and pray.
Yeah. Thank you very much, John. It's been amazing. I hope that we can do it again sometime, and have a great rest of your day. And I hope that something shakes loose on this.
All right. Great to speak with you folks.
Take it easy.
Thank
Take care,
you.
John.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, guys. I think that's good for me as well. It's been a long, I got a late night, and then I got all over trying to get this together. Robin, you were amazing today, hunting down TV stations and getting them to get attention. And maybe we helped with that mission. JJ, what a great moment it was to share wrestling with John Ray on camera. That was badass.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's like wrestling is one of those unique sports. Like if you grew up wrestling on the East, especially in the tri-state area, then you know common people, because it's a very specific type of sport. You know, it's people that wrestle kind of have a certain kind of mentality. So I knew I was kind of really happy to hear about that, because it tells you something about somebody. You have to be a certain time. And I wrestled for 11 years. You know, it was a big part of my life growing up. So I thought I'd bring that into the conversation.
It was amazing. I loved it. It made it personal, and I loved that you guys knew the same names, and that was awesome. So, team, we kick some ass. Chat, you kick ass. It's sad. Again, the only sadness I have is the low numbers when we have somebody of John Ray's caliber on. Hopefully we can turn that around, get more people interested in Epstein's case, in Peter Hackett's case, and Long Island serial killer's case. John, we consider him to be a friend of the show, and so we plan on doing more with him in the future. Support that cause. Tell people that they missed a big one. We'll talk about it tonight on the Crimes After Dark show as well, and kind of feature some snippets from that. And otherwise, you guys go have a good day. We'll see you later tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.